Hey, thank you for the engagement, Mr. Malicious. What's up, everybody? Narvlin, congrats on the interview. When Louise asked for more time, I knew you were crushing it. Thanks, man. Yeah, that was a blast. Um, we had a great conversation. Great conversation. And hopefully there will be more, and there will be more with more people, right? Like that would be the goal. But only time will tell. Only time will tell if we can get some more. So unexpected. Yeah, I made a little post earlier that I thought we would do some community vote stuff. So that is going to be the plan. We did one of these before. It was pretty fun. I might even still have the doc in here somewhere. Unity votes. Oh, I do have it. Interview was great. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you. It was a really good time. It was a really good time. I've been trying to like clip sections of it and post it to like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. As I, of course, am trying to get more eyes on it for channel growth, and because I think it's quality. Like, legitimately, I think there's some great answers. I think there's a lot of depth, a lot of thinking things through. Just all around, I think there's a lot of really, really quality stuff in the interview. So I've been sharing around as I can. Yo, what's up, Rubber Room? Still got to catch up on the interview, but loving the shorts. Hey, dude, I mean, the shorts are like 1 to 2.5 minutes each, and the interview's 2 hours. So it was great. Was it like predictions last time? For this, the community votes? No, we did stuff like who was, we did it after the soldiers arc. So here are the ones that I had. We had favorite soldier character. We had favorite NPC from that arc, favorite villain for the campaign as a whole. We had vote for the biggest mystery, best character moment. Those are all things we did. This one, I put a thing in the Discord about it. I'm looking at, like, now that we've done all the players, I'm going to have my own character tier list coming out this week. Yo, what's up, Allie? What's up? Yet it is. Dane. I'm going to have my own tier list coming out this week, but we're going to do one together. That's going to be you guys, not me. And stuff like that. So the other things I had on that list that I was thinking we would cover included which arc had the best story. So we may be like, oh, I loved the Schemers the most, but did they have the best story, right? So we'll do the best table. So did you like the Schemers, Soldiers, or Seekers more? The best arc story, so maybe that's different from one to the other. Favorite character from each arc, and then we'll have them compete against each other. So we're going to do a couple of things in this one. We're going to give it a little bit of time for people to get in here, and then we're going to jump into having you guys vote on stuff. So I'm going to do each of them as a poll. So for instance, when we get to the character tier list, which I already have, hopefully this will pop up appropriately. If I do this, nope. All right, let's move that back over here. That was the old doc. I'm going to have another scene for it, I think, so it's a little bit larger, but I already have... Why is it not... Okay. I have the tier list thing open. Is the main point here. So, yeah, and it has all the people there at the bottom. So we're going to do that at some point. So just keep an eye on that. I don't need all these tiers. Last time they were also named differently. But let me go and hide that for now. But that's what we're going to do. Best level up. Oh, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. Nicholas, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the interview. I'm so glad, guys. Like, looking through the comments on that video, everybody was like, this interview was awesome. Like, everybody was like, the vibes were there, the conversation was there. Like, it was clear that you both were enjoying the conversation. It was clear that you were both passionate about the topics. That was really nice to read. I plan on sharing it with him at some point. I've like screenshotted a bunch of comments and just be like, hey, people really dug this. They really enjoyed that. So that was awesome. What's up, Zenith? David says, get those likes going, chat. True, hit the thumbs up. Let's hit the thumbs up. Let's do all that. I still think about Cadogan's level up. Such a good moment from Robbie. Yeah. Girl that could have been. Yeah, we could do best level up. I'll add that to my list of things. For that. So like I said, we're gonna give this a wee bit for us to just catch up, talk about stuff. How are we feeling? Things are crazy. And then we'll jump into it. I want to give time for people to get in here before we start to dive into the weeds and actually start taking votes and stuff. So we'll give it a little bit of time. If you guys have any things you want to talk about, bring up, anything like that, we will do that now. And then we'll jump into the stuff here in a minute. Some of which will be on an actual tier list, and then other ones won't. Sheep Stealer, what's up? Now, for that, guys, I'm gonna have a vote. We're gonna basically do like a poll on. I can start that poll now if we're being honest. I'll start that and we'll chat while it's happening. So first poll, we're just gonna say favorite table. We're gonna go in order so nobody feels that it's being changed up. So this is going to be on YouTube. We're doing a poll on YouTube. Which table was your favorite? And let's go ahead and start that poll. So there you guys go. Let me go ahead and also just throw that up here. And do that. Okay. Now that we know everyone in the community ranking of character could be fun. Yes, so we are doing that. Steven says, I found you through the interview with Louise. I'm looking forward to catching up on some of your content. Thank you, Steven. Really appreciate that. Welcome into the chat. Louise himself was very engaged and happy to be there. Great time all around. Exactly. I loved that. Ali says, regarding the interview, I think it says it all that you both said we agreed on an hour, but let's keep going. No, seriously. And we didn't even get to that point until we were 20 minutes over an hour, right? Like it was 20 minutes into, 20 minutes over the hour that we set initially when it was like, hey, do you have somewhere to be? Because I don't. And then we just kept going. So no, that was awesome. That was awesome. So yeah, guys, start throwing your votes in. I don't see it on my screen. Are you guys seeing the YouTube poll? There it is. Yeah. Go ahead, throw your votes in. We'll start that now. We're gonna let each poll sit for a little bit so we can chat. We can kind of prepare for the next one. We can have some conversations. But we will we'll jump into each one. So I think we're gonna start with which table was your favorite, and then we're going to move to. Oh, I just realized I don't know how I'm gonna do one of them. There's only but so many options I can do, so it's gonna be a little bit tougher for like who's your favorite character from this arc, because I think I can only do 4 options, so I can't do that for the soldiers. Because what we're gonna do, here's my idea. I could also skip that one. And what I could do instead is just go, I'm going to do a tier list where I'm going to put up on the thing, basically the 4 options for my tier list. And you're going to be able to choose, like on the vote, I'm going to say like A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier. And you're going to select options. And then I'm going to rank them, whichever one has the majority is what we're going to do when we get to characters. And then I'll place it on the visual tier list that I will have up on the screen as such. Right, we're gonna do, I don't know, maybe we'll do SABC. Or last time I did it as like iconic, pretty like good, on its way, and like not clicking yet. Those were kind of the options I did before. But I might just leave it as this for simplicity's sake. We'll just do this, but yeah. That will be the plan as of now. Maybe we'll do it just like this once we get there. We have these images down here, but Yeah. Wonder if this is probably gonna mess everything up. If I made it kind of match. Yeah, that's terrible. All right. We'll get to this though. Right now, guys, if you haven't already seen it, we do have a poll over the chat to decide who your favorite table was. Who was your favorite table between schemers, seekers, and soldiers? Go ahead and throw that vote in the chat. Right now, there is a very clear winner, but we'll get into it. Let's see. Steven says, my most disliked character is Taisha. Love Abria, but not her character. Fair enough. I went for schemers. Yeah, that is the clear winner right now. And see, here's something I'm going to request you all do. For those of you who haven't voted already, try to put behind you recency bias. It's hard, I know, because they're just such an exciting thing that it's just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy, and all that sort of stuff. Jay Fran, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But you know, there were still great soldier moments. There was still some intrigue with the seekers and stuff like that. Are we doing an NPC tier list? We will do something like that. The problem is that there isn't a pre-made with a bunch of images, right? I don't have images of them. So what we may do there is people, maybe I'll like write a list of NPCs like I did for the soldiers, and then I'll just have to look at chat and I'll do like a quick like count and we'll do it. That's kind of what we did before. Here, I'll see if I can pull it up. Yeah, so before, here, I'll extend it out. This is what I did, and I calculated people's votes from the chat. So we'll probably do something similar to that when it comes to NPCs. The main one is going to be the community vote on characters. We're going to do a tier list with characters. So that'll be the main one for that. I see a lot of you are like putting your favorite stuff in for things we're doing later now. So hold on to it. Maybe welcome in. Party Steve's in regards to Schemer says 4 great players who were given free reign to pick out whichever thread they chose in whatever order. Facts. Steven's favorite duo is Wick and Tyranny. They are a fun duo. Nicholas's least favorite is Tyranny. Mr. Militia says, I'm not sure how much can be attributed to recency bias, but I enjoy the intrigue of the schemers a touch more than the soldiers. I can plan run adventure chases at home. Totally fair. Totally fair. DW says, Ashley didn't have confidence in her elf that I thought she would. Often she felt unprepared and not knowing the game and rules. For me, none of that stuff mattered to me as much. Like I'm not a huge stickler for like if somebody doesn't understand something, as long as it's then explained and they like, you know, they get it from there. Which is why, for instance, I've been watching the Dungeon Master's actual play, which is very good, by the way. And like Deborah Wild is not like she's not super into D&D at the start of this. So like she's asking about this and can she do this? And I don't mind that at all. And I enjoy that it's kind of explained so new players can look and go, oh, that's why, or this is how that works. For me, I do agree though. I think Valus fell off for me. I think I would have to go back and look at what I ranked her in my Overture tier list. She was probably in like B or something like that. A or B. Now she probably dropped. She either stayed the same or she dropped a tier for me. Because she was so like broody and mysterious and whatever, and I liked the sort of tension that it brought, and then just didn't happen. But that was just my take on it. Tyranny at least favorite? That feels like it's a hot take. I don't think so. I think Tyranny is like a certain flavor of tea that not everybody loves. She's been very up and down for me, Zenith. Like episode 1, Tyranny was my least favorite by a lot. Towards like the end of the Overture and maybe the start of the Soldiers, I enjoyed her more. She took a dip somewhere in the Soldiers, and I don't remember where I kind of left off with her. But she's just like the Chaos Goblin at the table who doesn't like fully understand D&D and is just kind of doing stuff. And you know, part of it's being a new player. So I'm not holding this against Whitney at all, but like you have to enjoy somebody who's just there and doing just like the craziest random stuff and being silly. Like all that sort of stuff. So I think, like, I don't think it's a super hot take because she is a, you have to enjoy the flavor of tea that she brings. WB says, I do wonder, any plans on doing interviews with some of the other players? I would love to. It's not up to me. I worked for like 7 months to try to get interviews. I went through all the proper channels. I never got one. I got this one with Louise by responding to a tweet Louise made with a video I made talking about him, and then was just like, hey, if you're up for talking about it. And then he DM'd me and we worked towards this. I'd love to interview every single one of them. Every single one of them. But all I can do is I was adding people on LinkedIn. Like, hey, can I interview people from Critical Role? Like the executive members, like CFOs and COOs. I was like, please put me in contact with who I can talk to about interviews. Put anybody who handles this. And I never got anything. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. It's just, all I can do is keep trying and hope that they give them to me. I've never heard from whoever their PR person is or anything, so. Septic says, real quick, because I'm not really that into West March's games, so I'm curious if the table's going to switch or not. We don't know. We don't know. It's looking, so before I would have absolutely said yes. Absolutely, I would have said yes. Now, even though they kind of said that at some point that might happen, I feel like it's not going to happen it's not going to be as big of a switch up as maybe we thought. One, because of the t-shirts and stuff that they released, and two, some of the other stuff that's been said just doesn't feel like that's the case. But yeah. Maybe not says, Soldiers had some great moments, but Schemers has such great chemistry from the start. We got to see them fight late, but watching them work and interplay has been great. Agreed. I don't want to choose. Fair enough. I agree. I'm not a fan of Tyranny and Taisha. It's what Biko says. Sheep Stealer says Taisha's D tier. We're not at the tier list yet, guys. We're not at the tier list for characters. Just keep voting. Right now we're at 69 votes for which table was your favorite. I'm going to leave that up. It's at 10 minutes now. We're going to leave that up for 15. So I'm going to catch up on chat. We're going to give it 5 minutes, and then I'm going to call that vote, and then we'll move into, maybe we'll go into the character tier list when it comes to that. I think the Soldiers had some really iconic and memorable moments. They did. The Soldiers were solid. Alice, welcome in, says, I like story with political intrigue, so Schemers were my favorite going in the 3 tables. So they were your favorite going in and also landed your favorite. That works. Malir, welcome in. Overall, I think I liked the Soldiers the best. The Schemers was the best episode, however. That's fair. If you're talking about the very last episode yet, I mean, that's hard to beat. That's super hard to beat. That last episode was so good. And I talked about this in the interview. If you guys haven't seen my interview with Louise, go watch it. It's 2 hours long, so grab some popcorn. But one of the things we touched on, which was a blast, is that the reason, so there are a lot of people, I see them in my comments, I see them whatever, that are like, I don't like watching whole sessions that are combats. And yet this episode is probably the best episode, and it was only a combat, but it was because spliced into this combat was reveal, information, reveal, intrigue, twist, turn, right? Like, it was so much more than a combat, but it was a combat. And so that was a beautiful blending done by Brennan. I mean, I cannot give him enough credit for that. Having a separate thing downstairs because Hal would have had to run all the way over there and blah, blah. It just beautifully done with that. How was anyone's favorite table Seekers? Some people really like that, Cozy. Trust me, I'm not one of them. I was not a Seekers fan personally. I just didn't like the vibe, the slow pace, the hushed voices. I've been over that a billion times. But there are plenty of people who are like, they loved it. They felt it was super dramatic and all, and they like that. And to each their own. To each their own. Dr. Finger will return in the Avengers. Miss Miller says, I can't guarantee the same sort of commitment from my fellow players or my ability to construct social encounters and combats with stakes aside. So seeing it play out was so satisfying. Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm thinking that's Peter or Piotr. I'm thinking Peter. Schemers were just very consistent run. The Soldiers were good, but the Seekers were very uneven. Yep. That's just Ashley Johnson. She always figures out how to play at the last second. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind that stuff. Yeah. Whiskey, welcome in, says, I like the Soldiers more than any other table. Then the Schemers came along. Yeah. Yeah. Schemers kept the tension running high from episode to episode. They did a great job. Yo, what's up, P-Wog? Welcome in. Rubber Roommate says, I got confused with Valus. I don't know why she stayed. Because she's pursuing whatever stuff is going on. You know, if Octus was able to be brought back and he was able to also bring back his animal companion, which he didn't like super really do, or like narratively, then, or he's familiar, then perhaps he can figure out how to. She's interested in bringing something back, her god and her family, and so that's kind of why she's sticking with it. And of course, like the Knight's song and all that, like being connected to her faith, and now he has it, and like all that. So, Tyranny by yourself is mid, but with others is fun, especially Wick. Totally fair. Joseph, what's up, dude? I swear it's not recency for me. The pre-existing relationships and lore between the schemers did help the arc overall, and also love the job system, getting explored to Makia are powerful NPCs. I didn't love the job system, but I was also fine with it. It was quick, it was easy. You know, I said this before, I think if it would have been any more of the schemers, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. So I feel like they like push as far as I was willing to go with the job stuff, but they didn't cross it, so I'm fine. I see Tyranny as a Jester of this campaign. She's so fun. I feel like Jester was more ingrained in the fantasy world to a degree. And at that point, Laura had more time under her belt of playing D&D, understanding D&D, the tables and things like that. I think Whitney can get there. But I think of course it's similar because they're both silly and chaos, but it was done differently in my opinion. Ali says Tyranny has similar vibe to Opal from EXU. I love seeing them discover what they can do. Noctopus, what's up? Welcome in. Schemers had a lot more combat than I expected they would. Not saying that as a bad thing. I was pleasantly surprised by it, especially how well Brennan runs combat. It never really feels boring. Yeah, the combat with the different entries up and, above and below and all that sort of stuff. You know, I can't give every bit of credit to Brennan, though, because they have a guy who actually designs their maps for them. And so I think he said, I don't remember if Brennan told him to do this or not. It was in the Lore Keeper's Ledger that it was mentioned that one of them, I think it was the map maker, decided he wanted there to be multiple entry points and have this sort of two-dimensionality or three-dimensionality where like they could come down the ladder and they could enter from here and they could like those sorts of things. So kudos to the map maker for adding that sort of stuff in there. WB says Soldiers table felt a lot like a classical D&D shenanigans adventure. Schemers and Secrets felt a lot more high stakes. Zenda says, perhaps it's more like it's been fun to observe her to experiencing cause and effect, or perhaps just consequences. Fair. Double says, I think what makes the Schemers my favorite is that in their arc, just had more weight to everything they were working on. True. I mean, they were up against all the big houses and all those sorts of things. So no doubt about that. Warlocks are cool. Her patron seems interesting and like it's going to be a big part of the plot eventually. Oh, I mean, clearly, right? Like clearly signed a deal with the Halavars, taking souls, all that stuff. I have something doing it money from a pincushion Panosel syrup, but I haven't heard anything at all. Yeah. So looking like the tables will stay the same. Yeah, it is starting to lean that way, Daniel. I agree. Oh. Narveland says, Taisha's a bell curve for me. Sorry, guys. I started out not liking her. Then she gradually started to grow on me, but by the end, I started not liking her again. I brought up something she did there at the end towards the arc where she kind of switched up on Octus. In the I didn't name her specifically because Louise doesn't watch the episode, so he doesn't know. So I didn't say specifically, but I said, he does something where he will out loud kind of explain where his character's mind is at as he does something. And that allows us to know if he does something weird or something we wouldn't get otherwise, why he chose to do that. And I feel like Taisha's flip on Octus would have been so much more easy to take if we had gotten a look into her brain, because there may be ways, right? I think somebody's even explaining, well, maybe she felt this way, or maybe she felt that, but like none of that made sense unless she told you, or unless you just started to come up with the reason why. So I think that could have changed it up a little bit in terms of your bell curve and not liking her again, if it was related to that. They have said eventually the tables will get a share. Yeah, that's what I thought they had said, but then they did like the merch with the tables, and it was some stuff other people have said. Francis, what's up? Says it's good to see a character and player learn and evolve. So thumbs up for Tyranny. Yeah, that's totally fine. Enderthorn says, I don't think there's going to be a big shakeup with the tables beyond 3 or 4 characters switching around unless something crazy goes down after opening night. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Before I thought like we might get, every table is going to have like 2 different players or something, right? So like, a bunch of change up. And now it might be like 2 people change up or something like that. Max, if any, right now. Also, a lot of people in here. Thanks for being here, guys. If you haven't already voted, we have a chat up, or a vote up, 95 votes currently. I went over time, but I'm gonna give it 3 more minutes. So throw your votes in, and then we will go ahead and call that vote and move on to the next one while I respond to chat. I hope eventually they start swapping people up at tables. Up, welcome into the stream. I think eventually, yes. Daniel says Gala fight was excellent. House showdown with the Nama Minister was one of my favorite parts. Liam did such a great job. His whole description of like walking behind the pillar and coming out the other side, like changed from disguise. The mask of Asgro with the fangs. The line about the fangs, like messing with the city, you get our fangs. All that stuff was super cool, super well done by Liam. I loved that. Thinking make it so. Welcome in. I really like the schemers, had so much chemistry and did what they set out to do. Yeah. Steven says, I think Taisha pushing everyone's buttons and Octus having to explain himself every episode really hurt the Seeker stable. I agree. I don't know that it was Taisha pushing everybody's buttons as much. I pointed out also Octus having to explain himself every episode, and all that stuff as well. But yeah. Reed says you did a great job with the interview, by the way. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. You know, maybe at one point in the distant future, we'll have a campaign to like pester one of the other people to talk to me. What's up, AKA? Yet it is says the schemers are definitely my favorite. They have such solid chemistry together, and the character development has been chef's kiss. DW says if we didn't have the soldiers and seekers, the final combat of the schemers wouldn't have hit as hard. It's great how all three ads. I've pointed that out a lot of the time, that some of my favorite moments are where like something from this group ties into something from a different group and stuff like that. That's really cool. I like seeing that. What's up, Edwin? What's up, Kathy? Welcome in. Dr. Caliban. Sorry, I'm like jumping ahead. Relax, Bear. Chicken Wizard. Welcome in. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on this chat over here. Reed says, I just like the weird lore dumps in the last couple episodes with the Seekers that really hooked me on the whole campaign. Zenith, there were elements of Seekers that were interesting, but it was hard to sustain momentum with that particular thread. I agree. David says, it's like a soap opera with Seekers. I love the drama and conflict. Yeah, to each their own. Dread Pirate, what's up? What's up? Ahoy, new here. These last couple episodes got me diving into the community. Welcome into the community. We have another pirate here. Can we get some ahoys between Piratey Steve and Dread Pirate? I see one. There we go. Heck yeah. Summer says, really like Julian, learning more about him. Yeah, Julian is my winner from the Seekers. Julian is my winner from the Seekers. Yeah, Taisha flips it. Brian, welcome in. I have loved each and every table for their own reason, but my number one is Schemers for the social intrigue and very high stakes. Girl that could have been. Up until last week, the Seekers actually had my favorite combat. The really short one in the desert. Fun concept, incredible atmosphere, and it showed that you can do something different with combat. Heck yeah. P-Wog says, a question. Which actor would be great to play? Talison's character, God Killer Sister. Oh, who, like as a guest star, who would play Termina? It's a good question. Dan says, as I watch, with clunky interactions or undeveloped characters, I headcanon on how the hypothetical animation adaptation might overcome those weaker parts to punch up, change, or streamline them. Yeah, somebody left a comment on, I think, my interview with Louise and said, like, some of these things, like, and I don't know how much I agree with this. They said that Brennan is dungeon mastering for an animated show, and that, like, Murray doing the things she did aren't as cool in D&D, but they'll be great in an animated show. And I don't know, like, maybe you guys say your thoughts. Do you think they're sitting at the table and thinking about that? Do you think they're playing like, oh, I'm playing for what will be cool to put on Amazon Prime, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know that Brennan is showing up at the table being like, I'm directing a film, right? Yes. I don't know. Dread Pirate, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. All right, I'm going to cancel this now. We are at 108 votes. I'm going to count down. You have 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Somebody just got it. 2 people just got it. 3, 2, 1. All right, 110 votes. Ending the poll now. There we go. So, who was your favorite table? We have the Schemers with 65%. 65% for the Schemers. We have the Soldiers with 24%, so just shy of a quarter of the vote, and then the Seekers with 11%. So 65, 24, and 11%, with the Schemers being the overall favorite arc. Again, there may be a little recency bias in there, but either way, there's that vote. Daniel, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It feels like the assassination plot was a joint Hail of our Taconas Argosia op. The Taconas twins clearly knew that it was about to happen. Yeah, there was definitely information. So I was like, man, are the Taconas in on this? And now I'm thinking, like, maybe because they knew about it, but they might have just, like, you know, they have contacts or information. Maybe they were told about it. Kind of like, you know, another nation in the modern day may let a partner know, hey, we're going to do this. You're not involved, but we're telling you ahead of time so you're not surprised. Like, could that have been part of it? I'm not sure. So the next one we're going to do in terms of votes, and thank you again for that $5 super chat. I appreciate that. The next vote we're going to do, let me see if there's another one I can just do for, okay. Oh, I wanted to do, so we had the best table. That's what you guys just did. Then I wanted to do like the best story arc. Like, for instance, here's the best way to explain this. The soldier story arc was about revenge. It was about getting back at what's-his-face. It was about finding Sid. The Seekers were about going and finding Aligar and discovering what the visions were. The Schemers' overall arc was like trying to pin the houses against each other, right? That was their story. So this vote, this vote's probably, I'm not going to leave this one up as long because I just don't think it's harder to understand. And I can't explain it all the time. So we're going to say best story arc. And we're going to say soldiers, revenge, Casimir / Sid. Seekers, Aligar, Visions, and Schemers. Info, pinning, house versus house. Yeah, I think that's how I'm going to phrase it. I hope you guys understand kind of what I'm going for, but new poll in the chat. Go ahead and select what you think the best. So this is not your favorite table. This is not the Schemers were the most fun to watch. This is who had the best overall arc of the first set of arcs. That's what we're going for right now. So go ahead, throw your vote in the chat for that. Anybody who just got here, you missed the best table vote. But we still have coming up, we have the characters. We're going to be tier listing the characters. So stick around for that. I'll keep getting back to chat. Daniel says, I voted for soldiers. When I look back on my favorite episodes, the soldiers had the most of the best ones, but it's a close call. Schemers are a close second. Totally fair. Arship, welcome in. I have a new take on Seeker's Table. The PCs didn't get along and didn't normally interact, so they would naturally be awkward together. Add that to players who don't normally play together. I agree. I've said like kind of the opposite for the Schemers. I think one of the reasons the Schemers felt so good was because there was already all the chemistry from those people having played together already, right? They have 3 members of the original cast, and they all knew each other and were friendly to each other in game. So with characters and players, chemistry. So I think that was a big reason for the Schemers. I'm going to try to skip ahead on chat a little bit unless I see something super crazy. In your perfect world, how would they have dealt with the jobs? I think the way they did it is okay. I still think it should have been, I don't know. The way they did it is fine. I just didn't want any more than they gave us. That's basically it. I think it was fine to say, make a roll for it. Cool. The day either went poorly or well, and here's a little bit of like RP for it. And then occasionally the players would say, hey, I want to do this during my workday as well. I'm fine with that. I just think if each of them even had 5 more minutes taken up with their individual jobs, I wouldn't have liked it as much. I think they hit their limit for job days, for me, personally. Can you put an option of Discord for predictions and conspiracies? I'm still fixated on the Louise discussions regarding he and Julian link. Option of Discord for predictions and conspiracies. What do you mean? Like add it to my list, or are you saying like to just put in there? Like a channel for predictions and conspiracies? I can make a channel in there for predictions and all that. I forgot I put lemonade in here, like the packets. Oh, that was so sweet. Ender says, as a big lore head, I love the Seekers and their story, but you just can't beat the energy at the Schemers table. Yeah. Better late than never. Welcome in, chicken. Relaxed Bears says, Schemers hit it out of the park. Didn't expect that. Soldiers was my favorite before. Yeah. Devil says, got into it a bit on your premiere, but where do you land on Azune's sister having had her shadow snipped? I think it's certainly a fine theory. You know, I would be curious if that's why her stuff is like that, right? Is that why her skin and all that, the atrophied face and whatnot? The snapback, Octus had to justify himself as a huge watershed moment for me as a player. I just really felt like it was about time. Yeah. Bree explained her thought process on the change in her attitude. The Temple Geek one? Yeah. I'm sure opening it, but again, explaining it now, cool. But so many people, I mean, people in my chat, people in the comments were like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't, like, all that sort of stuff. So it left to the audience to be like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Again, not a knock at her. I just, when Louise explained how he sometimes will explain his mental processes before he announces, like, in game or whatever, I was like, oh, that would have been so beneficial right there. Is all I mean by that. But I am glad that she did explain that. Yeah. Paul says, what did everyone think of the Seekers pregame? Tying up the threads regarding the decision to head back towards Dalmakiar, I think it was a good decision, if not completely obvious. Oh, their cold open. Yeah, no, there's no doubt that they needed to have a cold open that was going over the stuff they found and stuff like that. Edwin and Kathy, hello once again. Great job with the interview. Thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that interview. I hope to get more with more people. So if any of you have a connection with any of the Critical Role folks, please let me know. Jacob Tanner, welcome in. Do you think there's someone in the parties that's a double agent type vibe? I think if there was ever a time to do it, this would be the time because there's 13 people. But I also right now don't have anybody I would pick. The only way I can see that is if it's like a double whammy where like Julian swaps to being more of a good guy, but then in the end, corruption gets him and he does a bad thing and he dies. Something like that could happen. Paul says, I'd like to see you get an interview with Ashley. I'd like to see something as in-depth about Valus and get some insight into her idea about the build. Yeah, that would be awesome. I would absolutely love to talk to Ashley. And don't forget to vote, guys. We do have a poll going up right now. This is for the best story arc. Not your favorite table. We just did that one. The best story arc. Dane says in regards to the Seekers table over on Twitch, felt like there was a lot of unnecessary or unresolved tensions between the players, less cohesion. Maybe it will come to feel more completed or meaningful in the future, but end result at this point is that the arc felt slow with a lot left to find out. Yeah. Now, Brennan is doing him. I don't think they're thinking about the implication of an animated series at all. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I was like, I don't think so. I gotta say, Schemers are my favorite so far. The role play in battles feels so much deeper than the other tables to me. Yo, what's up, Mira? I think they're creating a story and have plenty of experience. I don't think they're thinking of animations. Yeah, I don't think so either. I was just curious about your takes. Bicolor Chunk, hello, welcome in. And maybe says that they don't think so either. Brennan just seems so differently. Yeah. Up until last week, Seekers were my favorite, but Schemers are going crazy. Heck yeah. Ali says they were playing this way for a long time. I assume it's because they are actors heavily impacted by dubbing animes, so it's to just shut this imagination down. Yeah, oh, no doubt. Matt is the world is your oyster, and Brennan is you're in my world now. That's a good way to put that. Dane says, I did like seeing Matt get a chance to be a player. 100% agree. So they're story driven, not visual media driven. Heck yeah, because they'll always make adjustments to make it visual like they've done before, right? Like that's just what they do. Brian says, doing rewatch of the tables, and I have a few guesses who will switch based on character choice clues. Wick and Tyranny will join schemers to infiltrate Halavars. Julian and Azune will be soldiers. Okay. Those are Brian's predictions. Brendan has cinematic storytelling ability. Dr. Caliban says, I think Brennan is GMing the game in a way consistent with how he ran EXU series he ran. I don't think he's looking ahead to animation. No way he can anticipate what Murray did. Yeah. Tyler Beckett, welcome in. I think given the fact that the schemers were operating within the city that their characters existed in before the campaign, that they were able to be fleshed out and have more depth quickly. 100% agree. 100% agree. I'm going to continue. I'm going to skim over a couple. Played in role-playing homebrewed manner. I think Brendan is just doing things, different kind of richness to storytelling. Yet it says most of the schemers didn't sit down through the whole combat. I think they were too locked in to be thinking about it. Dude, I brought it up in the interview with Louise that at points, I mean, he was jumping. He was physically like shaking his arms and jumping. And I was like, yeah, he was like, it's the adrenaline of that craziness. I mean, that's how you know how invested some of these people are, right? They're just so into it at that moment. I'm going to once again, because we're up to 129 people, make sure you vote. There's a poll right over the chat, guys. That is your favorite story arc, not your favorite table. Soldier Stable be off to the Golden Orchard. Yeah, I think that's. I do think a group will probably go there. Okay, Daniel says he's running it similar to those. Aranessa Roy's carried the Seeker's Arc. Yeah, I agree with that, Matron. Yeah, I feel like that was very NPC dependent. We started with Aranessa. I remember, you guys remember, I was so excited when Lady Aranessa got left the group, because it's like, finally, like, it's not going to be everything just turns into, hey, Aranessa, what should we do? Aranessa steps in and answers the question. And then we found Dr. Talter, and she just started to do the same thing. And I was like, oh, can the Seekers just act on their own? Yeah. From the start to the end of the arc, Azune went from being my least favorite to my favorite PC fleet. Yeah, he did great. He did absolutely great. Huffdad says the two answers overlap. I don't remember what we're talking about, Huffdad, but I believe you. Kiforesma? I think this poll was heavily skewed in the schemer's favor because Brennan's bread and butter is political intrigue. That's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, it's much tighter than the other one was. The other one was 65% enjoyed the secret schemers table the most. At least now, explaining it that it's more about arcs, it's 54 to 38. So it's an 11% swing. So there is that. Bicolor Trunk says, I like the hostility between players at the Seekers table. I didn't mind the hostility that much. I got tired of the hushed voices, slow talking, serious nature of every second of that table. When you're watching a 3.5 hour thing where the whole thing is hushed voices and slow talk, I'm just like, oh my God, somebody be happy. Just somebody laugh about something. Like, yeah, but that's just me. That's just how I do it. Interesting to see the difference with the mistrust of Belair compared to Octus. Yeah. I think coming off loving Brennan in Fantasy High senior year, the job system was fun and something that was cool to see. Hey, Paul, thanks so much for that DM. I will look into that. I really appreciate that. Huge sucker for world building, so soldiers and seekers resonated with my taste better. Totally fair. What would a low die roll on a profession check mean for the player's story? I mean, you have to see a lot of those things tied into, like, they were job roles, but like they impacted like stuff that related to these storylines that they were pursuing. So I imagine it would impact those things. Like maybe Dean Cora says no when she asks to do the interns. Maybe the person at the thing doesn't fire the guy who got bribed, right? Like those sorts of things, I imagine. Huffdad says, Schemer's arc did feel like it cut off on a more serious cliffhanger than the other two arcs. The Soldier's arc felt complete, and they are coming back to moving to the next one, the Seekers felt. RS Foul Zone, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that. I enjoy all the Peter Pan symbolism. What? Do you think she wore a mask? I don't know what we're talking about with that. Spatula, thank you for the subscription to the channel. Matron of Raisins says, Schemers got me taking notes like Marisha now. Never in 10 years have I felt compelled to take my own physical notes into the last few episodes. Totally fair. Lady Aaron Foxart, hello, welcome in. Do you have a favorite table? I'm so torn. Because I'm trying to avoid recency bias. My brain right now is saying Schemers all the way. But I have multiple things working in their favor. One, we just saw them. Two, the last episode was insane and probably the best episode of the entire campaign. And three, I just interviewed Louise and it was so fun that I'm like, it's between Schemers and Soldiers. And I really enjoyed the Soldiers quite a bit. But these other things are making me like, I don't know if it's kind of like sometimes where you remember something and is it like, did I love that? Do I love that now, or is it just nostalgia? It's kind of like that with this. So I'm leaning Schemers. I like their chemistry. I like all that sort of stuff. But I really enjoyed Wick from the Soldiers. And I liked their story as well. So Y'all says the Seekers might not be coming back to the city. There's a strong chance that they divert to the Orchard after. See, I think if we didn't know, Yas, if we didn't know that they have said that they have all the players back at the table for the convergence thing, then I would 100% be like, I agree with that. And I love that, like, in game, we have that possibility. But they've already told us out of game that, like, they're all going to be back at the tables again on the 21st and all that stuff. So it kind of, it kind of spoils that aspect. So while we're going, oh, maybe they won't. But it's like, but they said out of, like, they are going to be back, which is kind of a bummer, but. A lot of folks in here, guys. Make sure, if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already watched the interview with Louise, go watch the interview with Louise. I'm gonna go ahead and call this vote, and I'm gonna give 2 more minutes. We're at 13 minutes, so we're giving it to 15, and then we'll call this vote. So if you haven't already voted, go ahead and do that. Q4 says, I also like the explain your character inner thoughts thing as a way to ask for consent at the table. Explain what you want for your character and look at your friends' feedback consent. I think, yeah, that's valid. A lot of the Seekers lore they got in the end we didn't see, and it wasn't shown, so it feels unfinished. That's fair. Pirate King says, also welcome in. I voted Schemer's table. They are world building harder, but that is also its nature of table. Other tables seem more character development heavy. Yeah, I mean, the Seekers definitely felt the way. Even though they were seeking this other stuff, it felt like there was a lot of them trying to figure out who they were in this world right now. Julian, Octus, Valus, even Taisha to a degree. It was kind of like, what are we doing? You know? Mark says, I really wanted to like Bria's character, but I couldn't stand how she RP'd her unless she was going for bipolar crazy person on the verge of tears 1 minute and yelling at another player the next. Yeah, we'll see. Again, as people kind of find their characters and who they are, we'll start to figure some of this stuff out a little bit more. Daniel says they should get a t-shirt with Aaron S's this is a dynamic and fluid situation quote. That, yes, 100% agreed. Somebody tell them. Let's see, we got 1 more minute on that poll. Soldiers with Titan contained. Also, welcome in 505 Daniel. Seekers felt like less of a cliffhanger, more like it just abruptly ended. Yeah, and then they made a decision that didn't make any sense. And Schemers left us on an excellent cliffhanger ending. Kevin Hope, welcome in, says, long shot bet Wikander gets the Octus treatment in service of the Celestial Revenge of Tonsil. No, this is Patrick. Hello, welcome in. I love the Schemers arc so far as well, but I wonder if there's some recency bias playing here. Yeah, that's kind of what I've mentioned a couple of times. All right, skipping ahead a little bit. Frank says, any guess for the next tables? I'm guessing Thimble and Julian to the Golden Orchard. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I would guess. And then I think, I've gone over this a couple times. Who else I think may go where? It's hard to imagine any of the Schemers really going anywhere. The one most likely would be Hal, if any, I feel like, to leave the city. Because once his play's over, especially if it goes really poorly, he's probably like, I gotta get out of here. But not 100%. All right, let's go ahead and call this poll. We are ending the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, in terms of the best story arc, we got the Schemers with 54%, Soldiers with 38%, and Seekers with 8%. So that is it with 125 votes. I think next we're just going to go ahead and jump into the character tier lists. Yo, what's up, Batson? So here's how we're going to do this. We can do 4 options. So who we're going to start with? 1, 2, 3. You know what? Let's just go left to right. So we're going to start with, and this is, here, I'm going to switch because I don't want to do that. Here's what we're going to do. What? Vitor, thank you for that. All right, guys, we are going to do our tier list now. Here's how it's going to go. I'm going to go ahead and do a poll. And in the poll, it's going to say Cadigan. He's number 1. Tier list. We're going to say S, A, B, C. Oh, we got to get rid of one of them. I can only do 4 options. Do we just get rid of S? I kind of like an S tier. Let's get rid of D. I don't know. You guys tell me. Do we want A, B, C, D, or do we want S, A, B, C? I'm going to make that a poll. Hold on. Which tier system? All right, real quick. Go ahead and do that for me. Answer that one, and then we'll get into the poll. I'm only gonna leave that up for like 30 seconds, and then we're gonna jump into this. Right there. All right, it's already with 40 something votes. We're going SABC. Totally fair. I'm gonna end it now. Don't vote in that anymore. SABC. Cool. Delete row. Got it. Mark, let's go. Is it $5 from? It has an A before it. Is that Australia? Or does it always have an A? I don't know. Thank you so much for that super chat. The theater is going to be a gate to where the spirits are. I think that's completely possible. I think it's completely possible. The whole that it being an opposite of the night song guides people to the afterlife. Maybe this lets the afterlife come back. Definitely an option. Mark, thank you so much for that super chat. Appreciate that. If anybody else wants to have some special messages, feel free to super chat. Because I'm going to Gen Con and it's expensive. So, yeah. All right, let's do this thing. We're going to start with Cadigan. So I'm going to throw the poll up. All right, because I don't want to count everybody's thing. We're going to say where does Cadigan fall? And we're going to go S, A, B, C. All right, Cadigan's poll is up. Vote. Where after, with everything we know of Cadigan right now, this is not a Robbie poll. This is a Cadigan poll, which is part of Robbie. So I guess you can do that. But let's do it. Let's get those votes going in. Start. Go ahead and throw your things in there for that. Guys, doing these is going to be much harder to keep up on chat. Please forgive me if I miss your message in chat. I promise I'm not intentionally doing it. It's just there's a lot of messages coming in, and this one requires me to do some other stuff. So, yeah, we are doing Cadigan right now. Cadigan. So go ahead and do your votes for where you think he should end up. We are going to give it at least 5 minutes or so, I think, depending. We'll see how it's going with the number of people we have in here and how many votes we have. So we have quite a few to get through. So we will see. I hope they do a one shot of house play uninterrupted. Ooh, that'd be crazy. When did you interview Louise? Is this video you have that I missed? Yes. I interviewed him on Friday. The interview was up by Saturday at like noon. Yeah. I interviewed him, left for my D&D game, came back from my D&D game, edited the video, and basically had it done by the next morning. So we went hard at that. But yeah, it's a 2-hour-long interview. So if you like really long, in-depth conversations about Azune, and we go into way more, right? I think people in here will vouch. We talk about role-playing in general. We talk about mechanics in Dungeons & Dragons. We talk about dungeon mastering. We talk about communication. We talk about, just all sorts of stuff. For 2 hours, it's just two nerds being nerdy. Edwin, thank you for the $5 super chat. No message with that, but thank you. I really appreciate that. All right. Keep the votes coming in. Where does Cadigan fall for you? We're going to make this tier list. This is the community tier list. Cadigan right now, we have him sitting at B. If you guys are, if the vote locked in now, we got to see a decent chunk. He's kind of close to A. But yeah. Dane says in regards to the soldiers table highlight, probably the best group of NPCs narratively. Oh, without a doubt, they still have the best group of NPCs. The soldiers do for sure. Not that schemers lacked, but ultimately I think we will see a return of a lot more of the schemers NPCs because of the location and positions they held. 505 Daniel says, I feel like the order was also crucial. Like we saw the seekers, schemers, and then soldiers. I think the soldiers would feel like a letdown. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Sorry, I'm skimming through some chat right now while we let it go. We're at 91 votes. 2 minutes are in. If you haven't already voted, there's 131 viewers in here. Throw your vote. There's a poll over on the YouTube chat where you can vote for where you would place Cadigan in this. And then we're just going to go left to right. You guys can't see all of them, but like next should be Azune, then Belair, then we're going to put Brennan. He's going to be S tier. I don't even know why we're going to do that, but we are going to do that. Also, if you haven't already subbed to the channel, click that sub button, guys. If you haven't watched the interview with Louise, go watch it. Murray will run away with King Gus and get married. What a line. What a story that would be, Astri. Mitchell, welcome in. I'm worried about the returns. Consider that on the same day that the soldiers are just outside of Damakiar, the Seekers are just hitting Castle Torch, which already took them down. Well, we don't know no. So we don't know that they're, like, that timeline is synced up. Like, we've known the soldiers are close to the city for, like, 4 cold opens. The Seekers might just not narrate their whole trip back. Like, it might not be like we get cold opens the whole way. So I don't know that those two things are going to seek up the same way. And they might not all show up at the same time, right? It might be like the first half of them coming together is like Seeker or Schemers and Soldiers, and then the second half of the episode, after they've done a day or 2 days, then the Seekers show up. So it might just be like they're off by a day. Quirky Geek Girl says, I'm scared the Taconas are going to try something at the play. I think it's completely possible. All right, we will lock this in now. I was trying to get to 100 votes. We got to 97. So I'm going to give about 6 more seconds to vote in this poll. 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh, we got one more. 2, and 1. All right, we're going to go ahead and call it. And it looks like Cadigan Vale is going to be in the B tier. All right, Cadigan is in the B tier. We will move to Azune. I'm just going to put their names. So it's S-A-B-C. All right, let's go ahead and rank Azune. We got Cadigan kicking things off in the B tier. Now let's get where Azune is going to fall. I think Dakotas are going to use the paint for something really bad, but it won't work. But people are still going to die. The Aussie is going to come through the gate with an army of the dead. That would be sick, actually. It would be super cool. Somehow Asgra returned. The only reason he's not S for me is because we know so little about him. A little more explanation would have bumped him up. That's totally fair. That's totally fair. How are you so productive and saying turnaround time? Because if I'm not and this fails, then I have to go get a real job. So hopefully that answers it. You know, there was a part of me a little while ago that kind of realized that I'm kind of in that make or break stage. Right? I either go really hard or else it's one of those things where you realize either I give it my all right now, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I know I gave it my all, or I continue to be a little lax about it and it fails. And I always wonder, did I give it enough? And so we kind of hit that moment of like, all right, let's go. This. Let me put this out. So we're doing this. I'm doing my own personal tier list where I'm going to rank the characters. I'm going to talk about why I'm doing each one. We're going to do this. We're going to I got more content, still covering D&D stuff at large, still doing the Dungeon Master stuff, still trying to do sponsorships and partnership deals. It's grind time, baby. It's grind time. So yeah, vote in the polls. Oh, Azune right now, he's kicking it up. Oh, he's close though. S tier to A tier is only a 3% swing. 87 votes right now. If you guys haven't already voted, definitely throw that in there. I'm grateful that he for your trip to Gen Con. Oh, thank you, Edwin. I appreciate that. I'm grateful that he raised the mental health stuff. I think some people treat D&D therapy a bit too much. Yeah, and and he did balance that back when I kind of pointed out, like, yeah, Donny goes, hey, everybody's kind of got their own way to do things, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that was a nice conversation there. Mitchell says, Nerdcore, what would you call the Schemers arc? Soldiers were a soldier's bond. Seekers were seeking answers. Schemers, HVH. I'd call it house versus house because they were trying to like pin the houses against each other, right? Azune was planting evidence. They were doing this. They were trying to like make them all question each other. The whole thing with the Cormorants and all that sort of stuff, like trying to blame the Taconas. That's just a quick off the top of my head without any thought. Kel's Play, hello, welcome in. The interview with Louise was awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. Cadigan's my favorite. I'm so sad to see him in B. Yeah, do B like that. Voted A, but B makes enough sense. Totally fair. Scott, welcome in, dude. Congrats on Louise's interview. Was that outstanding? Thank you. I'm really glad you guys enjoyed that interview. I hope to get some more. While sort of surprised Cat isn't higher. I don't know. So now that we've seen everybody, I agree. When people say stuff like, I want to love Cat again, and I think Robbie also, like, I want to have that, but we haven't gotten that much out of him. Even with the soldiers, a lot of the time he was kind of in the back, right? Like, we got more out of some of the others. So I understand why it's, again, if I had listed them as like enjoy, but looking for more, like instead of SABC, they had like names, like, you know, again, my old tier list was like iconic, really cool, could use some work, and the last one was like hasn't clicked yet, something like that. He would probably be one higher, but we're just using this. Cat definitely is designed to be a slow burn compared to practically every other character. His personal story seems the lowest stakes, and I really like that, but it's going to be unearthed slowly. Yep. Okay, slipping through. It would definitely feel unsatisfying if the Seekers showed up at the same time as the soldiers. Felt like they went way further. Well, according to the timeline, it wasn't like that, because I also felt the same way. Well, I felt like the soldiers had traveled a lot more because they like broke down individual days more. All right, let's look over at the poll. 102 votes. It's at 4 minutes. I'm going to give it 1 more minute, and then we're going to lock in Azune. We'll move to Belair. Is there really any question where Azune belongs? He's one of the best. Hey, we could be surprised. We could be surprised. Thank you, Debs. I appreciate that. I can see the regroup coming, lasting maybe 2 episodes. Started weak, ended strong. A tier for Azune. See, there you go. You got an A tier. Just don't understand his character well. For the strength of RP and the mechanical mastery, S tier. Yeah, in those regards, he's very, very good. I would agree with that. In terms of the role play and mechanical mastery, very much so. A possessed Theazi, undead lich with all the god-slaying relics as the BBG would be amazing. Ooh. I voted A, but I think by the end of the campaign, he will be S. I could see that. Might you do reactions to the new Dungeon Dudes campaign? I don't know. See, there's the same reason that I'm doing watch parties for the Dungeon Masters one because I thoroughly do enjoy it. I want to watch it, but it's so hard to commit when there's not like, and like this. Look, I went live with this. We have 140 people in here. 700 people have already stopped by. Like, there's enough of an audience to warrant this taking up my time and effort and putting things into it. It's hard to do that for other ones. Like, if I put out a recap for like Dungeon Masters, probably wouldn't do all that great. But recaps for Critical Role do well, right? Like those sorts of things. The audience for those things needs to be large enough to support the tertiary content. Does that make sense? Like, if the main thing has to have so many viewers that when it splits out, there's enough that are left over that want to watch extra content. And some of these other things may not have that. So it's hard to be like, oh, I'm going to make that knowing it's going to do nothing for the brand, the channel, for, that sort of thing. In some ways may actually hurt it. That's the tough part, is wanting to cover some other stuff, but knowing that it will be hurt by the algorithm if I do, right? It sucks in some ways. All right, let's go ahead and lock this in. End poll. S tier for Azune. Yo, what's up, Famine? You said you like really long videos, Famine? Well, I hope you saw that interview. 2 hours. S tier Azune, and we move on to Bolair. Let's start a poll. Bolair. S-A-B-C. Get the votes rolling in for Bolair. Is there any sponsor links I can click so I can show sponsors there's interest? Sure. If you go to the link, my beacons link, I forgot that I had this on that tab. I have different stuff like Describe. I just the mid-roll ad that I put in my recap video that I put out yesterday, there's a link in the description of that and the comment for World Anvil, which is actually super cool, and all that. So I mean, clicking those sorts of things help, but watching my videos, engaging with them, stuff like that is all beneficial. Sorry, I'm reading messages to try to catch up. Cat has a lot of potential for growth, but as of right now, he's missing too much. We don't know anything about Wolfric or his past. Yep. I hope Wick is at the schemer's table next, taking down his grandmother. I mean, he kind of wants to. Belair S for me, love the weird, totally fair. Thinking Make It So says, I can't wait for them to come back together again. I'd love to see all the interactions of them sharing lore. Heck yeah. Psycho Pilgrim says, Belair is hard S tier. Belair definitely brings the aesthetics. Let's look at the vote. Oh, right now he's also... Oh, but it's way closer than Azune, though. With 90 votes, it's a 1%. They're tied, A and S tier. So, let's see. Let's see. Guys, keep your votes coming in. Belair's a tight one. So, we'll see where he's at. We'll see where he's at. We can't have a tie. Just with the cold open of the mask being put on Drime or the play of the Trickster in the past, those scenes to make Belair S for me. They were really good, Ginger Bean. Coconut 90, welcome into the stream. Belair has some of the best moments to date in the campaign. I agree. He has like good lines. Oh, you guys remember? And this was more so Brennan in a way, when he came down the ladder and he cast the thing that like scared, or he did an intimidation on something. And he rolled so well, and then Brennan was like, you came over here, and now that your friends have left, you've shown that Lamy isn't the scariest thing down here. It's you. Like that. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. Jeff Hardy, welcome in. I don't think we've seen Tara's real fighting ability yet. Well, it's because he's rolled really poorly. Poor Travis. CR numbers, I know the Dragonite books crushed and won awards. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I might look into it. Steven, for sure. I might look into it. I was just kind of explaining how some of that works. Sick Tired says, I want endless Belair lore, S tier. I'm down. I want some more lore too. I'd love to interview Taliesin and talk about some of those things. Just creepy factor alone, Belair's S tier. All right. The gap has continued, so I think we're about to lock it in. It's at 3 minutes. When it gets to the 4 minute that I see, I'm going to go ahead and lock it in, since we have at least a 4% spread here to be able to do this. So I did see it and watched like half of it on my way to and from D&D on Saturday, then restarted it when I got home and let it play to try to play. It was a great listen. Awesome. Belair beats Owlbear Man. Dealing, what's up? I think Belair's S tier, but they aren't demonstrating their full powers. We also have to ask ourselves, if he possesses someone with the magical abilities, can they tap into that power on top of theirs? I don't think so. That would just be so complicated, but I mean, you really don't know. Mentioned in the open. I think they'll try to figure out more about what it is, Debs, for sure. They'll try to figure, because nobody has been able to say, like, what is the Sea Door? That was Fire Belair's S tier. What's up, Mega? Welcome in. Meme Club, welcome in. The lore reveals we have gotten from Belair are also so cool. We've learned so much about the history of Damakiar. The freakiest thing down there was 10 out of 10. I loved that. Talon's character builds are always S tier, so creative with how he thinks about his characters. Agreed, yet it is. Miss Malicious for me, much like Valus, Belair benefits from aura over substance right now. That is somewhat valid. I think he has a little bit more than Valus for me, but I get where your mind's at when you say that. All right, let's lock it in. Ending poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it looks like we are putting Belair in the S tier. Time for poll fight. Hey, let's go, Dispel. The next up is Brennan. We're gonna rank Brennan, and I don't know why I'm gonna do this, but let's do it. Because I know where he's going. How are we ranking Brennan's dungeon mastering so far? Go ahead and vote. The poll is now up. The poll is now up. The fumble sadly. Oh yeah, Zenith, you don't think Belair is S tier, huh? This should be easy. Yeah, I had a feeling. I was like, I'm gonna throw this up real quick. It should end immediately. But to be fair, I don't know if people are serious or not. We got somebody said C, Somebody who said B, which is, I mean, again, valid. People like different things. So I'm not, you know, maybe even saying I'm not sure people are serious or not, but you never know. Some people are just like clicking in and being like, ha ha ha, and doing it. But yes, I mean, clearly he's going to be S tier. I knew that he was going to be S tier. But a quarter of the votes out of 87 have basically said A tier. So yeah. Nerd out here hunting for hot takes. I mean, yeah, just a little curious what people think. Just a little curious what people think. Well, how he's done so far. So go ahead and throw that up there. There is something satisfying about the horrifying otherworldly entities finding a PC terrifying for once. I agree. Interview with Tal just to discuss character choices, role-playing aesthetics would be amazing. I would love to. I would the two adventuring tables go to the Orchard and Houndsport or Sea Door. Maybe travel there with Gus since it's in Timony. Oh, Houndsport, yeah. I think Brennan should be ranking the NPCs in general. Yeah, I mean, there was an NPC tier list we did before. It's a little bit harder to do because we don't have images. No, I can't do it like this. I have to do it like manually counting votes in the chat, which is quite difficult. Going to get some election numbers on this one. Yeah. What a way to put that, Daniel. What a way to put that. S plus, I do not believe he's sorry if Matt is S, Brennan got to be A. I love him, but the railroad too much. Story S though. I see, but the thing is, I feel like that's not as much Brennan. I mean, it could be because, you know, he tends to play in more structured campaigns, even if it's like you can be loose in the individual sessions. The overall thing is going. It's also more difficult to have as much freedom when you have 3 tables going at the same time and you're doing whatever. So I don't necessarily hold that against him. But I'm going to go ahead and lock this one in a couple seconds because clearly it's not going to change. S tier is where he's going to end up. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we will end the poll and Brennan will be S tier. All right, moving on. We're at Hallandil Fang. Hallandil Fang. S-A-B-C. All right, here we go. Hallandil Fang is up. Get your votes in. Get your votes in. Must be allergic to almonds or something is crazy. Belair's S tier for me, mainly due to backstory knowledge of what has happened. I feel like we might not have seen the true Belair yet. I'm obsessed with his fairy characters. They're also different and unique. The ones that changed heads were so... I loved those. I loved those. That was my favorite episode. That one and the final episode of The Schemers are my top 2. Just because the verbal stems and the way he talks. Matt is way more clean in his narration, but it's a personal preference. Yeah, so it bothers some dude at West says, I like the guy, but the constant filler gets old quick. I don't know if they edit down on D20 or if I just don't notice as much there. So I brought that up at a point a while back and people told me I was nitpicking. Because I said there were times where it wasn't like, because listen to my interview with Louise. I say and sometimes, right? We all do it. We all say it sometimes. But there were moments where it was like 6 or 7 ums in a row with no other words in. And I'm like, you know, so I get it. Some people have different things that kind of irk them, that kind of rub, you know, them the wrong way. And I think some of that is there. And I can understand that. Do I think it makes them in any way, shape, or form like a bad dungeon master? No, not at all. But I can also understand people being like, okay, that is irking me. So... yeah. If you ask me during the Seekers table, Brennan would be B tier. Oh, I also understand that. I also understand that because during the Seekers, it was the lore dumpy and a lot of him talking and monologuing and stuff. So I could understand that. I could say S tier for Brennan, but that baby voice though. Oh, I hate when somebody brings it up and then it reminds me of that baby scene with Liam and Brennan, and I hated it. I don't actually hate it, but like that was not for me. The whole watching Liam fake toss a baby in the air while Brennan goes, yeah. I was like, what is happening? What are we watching right now? What a moment. What a moment. Push party add quicker sometimes the pacing, but accept it's tricky. Yep. Vanilla Fox says Brennan is great, but I thought there was too much NPC explaining everything, especially in the Seekers. Also, he RPs the NPCs quite similarly. Not bad, but just stands to me as comparison to Matt. I agree with the Seekers part, and I've brought, you know, I've talked about that ad nauseum and probably will continue at some point when it comes up just like this. But I agree with the whole the Seekers were super dependent on NPCs just giving them information. It was a lot of Brendan just monologuing and talking in that regard. So I get that. All right, we're gonna skip down to some stuff where as we talk about Hallandil Fang. Hal is up to A for you guys. Okay, he was the only person who was in the bottom tier for me after the Overture. After the Overture, he was the only one that I was like, no, he wasn't. I think there was one other person down there. But he was not clicking for me at all. So, yeah. But right now, it looks like we're going to give this one more minute, but it looks pretty set that we're going to get an A tier for Hal. So let me do some more chats. Mixed Game Mike, welcome into the stream. Had Hal at A before the last episode, but he moved up. Oh. Love Mercer as a DM, and he was my actual introduction to D&D DMing, so Mercer's super high for that reason, but BLM just is different enough that don't compare for me. Yeah, they're different. Holly, hello, welcome in. I love how Liam cast Bardic Inspiration. Agreed. It is a lot of reverberation at the bottom of your skull, though. I wanted the Ozzy burial to be more. Yeah, I can understand why it wasn't, but there was also the part of me that thought that it would be bigger in some way than it was. I don't know even in what way I wanted it to be bigger, but I did think that it would be a bigger thing. But nitpicking is the difference between S and A. No, that's totally valid. Totally valid, Mike. Coconut says, Hal I feel like has more potential than we've seen, but some of it coming through now with this shift to being a full rebel, so maybe potential to be S or A for now B. That's probably how I would feel. I would be like, he moved up significantly for me, but I don't know if he would be A for me personally. But let's go ahead and lock this in. I'm gonna go ahead and end this poll. So A tier for Hallandil Fang, and we move to Murray Magnuson. Let's go. Can't see my keyboard. And once again, guys, if you are new here, have not already clicked that subscription button and want more content from me, click that subscription button. All right? Go ahead and do that. All right, Murray's up. Let's get those votes in. SABC. How I feel like has more potential than we've seen, but some of it coming through now with his shift to being a full rebel. So maybe potential to be S or A for now B. Oh, wait, that's literally what I read. I was fine with the baby scene. It was great. To each their own. I just didn't like it. Banning as soon as my way through. What you can see is good. Absolutely. Absolutely, actually. I love Liam. How right now is starting out as a kind of normal guy. By the end, he'll probably grow so much. Yep. Dads just being dads, I guess. That's fair. Feels like the soldiers table was so long ago. I miss those guys. Yeah. Hal has potential, but don't know enough about him to vote him higher than A. Meme Club says, I like Hal, but I think I love the NPCs that he's connected to more. Hopefully I can like him even more as an individual after he fully comes to terms with his part in this revolution. I'm with it. Low A, community too nice. Yeah, well, it's again, I think some of it is recency bias. I feel like all of these characters from the schemers are going to be a little bit higher than maybe they would be otherwise. Not all, but like some of them are going to have that because of the recency bias in that. And I imagine, some other stuff may be different. Because right now we're about to have 3 of the 4 schemers in S tier. And Hal in A. How loves reverberating the bottom of people's skulls. Agreed. Every time I'm like, do you feel it reverberating? Murray should rank triple D's is the craziest message. Murray should rank triple D's. Jesus. Murray started in B, but she just needed something to do. Now S, big S. Hal has grown on me over the series. I really like how he brings out aspects of other people. Yeah, he's grown on me a lot as well. I did not like him at all after the Overture. He was so boring. There was nothing to him. MVP of the last episode for me. Talking about Murray. Honestly, I think there isn't a character that is under B for you. Totally fair. I had Murray at B before the last episode, but she really showed what she could do. S player, S character, enough said. DW says too much boob jokes that got old. I don't know. Like, I didn't think they're so early on. Maybe in the overture they were referenced a lot. I didn't think it came up as much during the Schemers. And even then, it wasn't always her, right? I think even like Liam made the last joke about it more than her. So I don't know. I didn't think it was too much. Most recent episode should be S tier with ease. After the last episode, Murray needs to be S. Really impressed with how Kentucky is playing this character. Murray still hasn't clicked for me. That's fair. Actually, Eric says Murray is tough for me. I don't find the character too engaging, but Marisha plays her great. I'll be honest, Murray feels close to Cadigan in that I really like her, but don't really know a lot about her. Yeah, I would say Murray is in some ways... she is being carried by the way Marisha is playing her and less about who her character is. Well, her personality. I think you can say her personality, we're getting more from her. She talks a lot more and engages a lot more than Cadigan did. Let's take a look. I'm going to give it one more minute and then we're going to lock in the vote because there is only a 5%. So a couple votes might swing that. So go ahead and throw them in. Now it's only, nope, back to 5%. Yeah, go ahead and throw some votes in if you got them, and we're going to call this within the next 60 seconds for Murray. The cast is working to make each other start low and grow. Proper hero's journey. I'm with it. Murray's response with "this show is going to be great" was, and the goats line. Who said the goats line about like they should have given us goat masks because that's what we are. Like we're the goats. Who said that line was so cool? I like the mechanics of Murray and her magic, but I'm not enjoying the portrayal. Okay. Totally valid. Lorekeeper Society says, Marisha's constant description of Murray picking at her teeth drove me crazy, but she had time to develop. She's great. I agree. Again, it kind of comes to the same thing. I love the idea of her having this specific way of casting magic. But it's kind of the same way where Liam almost always seems to default to reverberates at the back of your skull. Murray seems to default to like runs her finger across her teeth or the brim of her hat. It's tough, right? Like we're watching it, so we're picking up on every single time, but at the table, it's probably not as noticeable. How many different ways can you describe doing certain things? So we've all been there. We all, even if we don't realize it when we're at the table, if we're describing it, sometimes we probably describe it the same. But I 100% understand where you're coming from. Is the DDD comment wrong? It was just funny. They also get a bump from that, just being the best table with the best arc that helps even more mid-character score. That's what I'm saying. I do think that it's, yeah. I didn't like Murray at all before the Schemer started. We get a lot more info on Murray than we did on Cadigan. Yeah. So, other than being a rich country bumpkin with large assets, what has the Dwarven Wizard done? Keen to actually know who she is and what she brings to the table. Last name was... all right, but Marisha said the goat thing. Well, then there you go. Oh, wait. I said Marisha. Okay, got it. All right, let's go ahead and lock this in. S tier for Murray. We move to Octus Taconis. All right. My S tier is going to go off screen if you guys keep putting people up here, so get it together. All right, we're moving on to Octus Taconis. The first... I didn't even realize that the order that they were written here just had all the Schemers first, and then Cadigan. All right, here we go. Go ahead and vote for Octus Taconis. Where are you putting him? Throw your votes in the chat. Oh, can we rank the baddies like Octus family? We might do that at some point. This is not the impact of Belair Azune yet. I don't know. Like to me, it's kind of like if you want to put her in A, then I think Belair probably drops down too. Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's tough because there's different ways to approach it. Seeker's going to be low. I think that they might, but people also really like the idea of Octus and the idea of his like of Alex. Like Alex is cool, so I could see him being ranked higher. But right now it looks like he's going to be in B. Ginger Bean, I'm afraid how Cadigan will develop if he stays in the city, since he said he does not belong there and he seems like the woodsy type. Yeah, I don't know that he's not gonna like join the schemers. Octus moved up the most for me for sure. Interesting. Hal definitely moved the most for me, but again, you've been here, you know that I was not enjoying Hal at all from the overture. Zena says, ain't no way Octus is more than B right now, and it's mostly due to how stifling the ambience in the Seekers was, if you ask me. Oh yeah, you didn't like Octus to start. Octus is one of my favorites. I'm a sucker for a black sheep of the family. Fair. For mystery solving, Octus might be MVP there for the Seekers. Just remember, he's average height 5'11". Everybody in there is 5'11". That it's average above their party. Maybe we could just rank the 500 houses. Ooh, in what way though? Like how cool they are? Like what's the criteria when you say that, Huff? Because I'd be down for that. Appeal or strength? We're rating appeal. Like how cool you think they are. Like how much we're rating how much you like them as of right now. In this moment, after watching the first arc, how much do you like the Monitor? So I did a one of these during the after the soldiers. I did a soldier sort of ranking from the group, but after the overture, I did my own, not a community. I did my own, which will come out this week. I'll do another one, a character tier list based on the overture. So I did my own. I'm now going to do my own for the post first arc, but that'll come out this week, either Wednesday or Thursday. I'll put that video out. CP Brown says, Octus became more interesting to me when he finally talked back to Taisha. Totally fair. Tessa says, love Octus and Pincushion. S tier. Love how Alex plays Octus processing emotions via in-textual. Yeah, it is cool. And some people have to pick up on that like some of the way that he's talking is because he's doing it as somebody who, for instance, I think this was said in one of the Temple of Geek interviews with him, where it was brought up that like when Vela said she wanted to bring the god back and, like Taisha was like, what are you talking about? Like, it was kind of like, absolutely not, whatever. That Octus responded not in a way of like feeling one way or the other, but of trying to understand and thinking about like, oh, what would that be like? Right. Very like, I'm trying to think this through sort of thing, which is interesting. Houses maybe. Okay, so just like a prediction of who the most evil houses are. I mean, it's just gonna be the two at the top, like Taconis and Halabars and stuff. But yeah, I love Octus, but I need more from him because his potential to be incredible, but he hasn't quite hit for me yet. Totally fair. I want them and Octus together for the next table swap. They'll definitely get to hang out a bit during the convergence. I feel that you should take an average of the votes. It would give a much better view of how the community views these characters. Take an average of the votes. Rather than, okay. Would that have changed any of these rankings though? Maybe the really tight ones where it was like a 2% spread. You're saying that probably would have dropped. Yeah, that would require more work from me though. Right? Like right now I can just take whichever one wins versus, but I think you're right. I think 100% I agree that like it's probably it is more accurate to say like, oh, S tier won the vote, but only by 2%, 15 or 20% made up, B and C. So he probably ended up in A, right? Like something like that. I get the idea behind it, but I don't want to have to like look at percentages and come to whatever number it's going to be on. So I'm sorry my tier list sucks, guys. You should have told me that before this started. Cozy, you should have told me before this. But if somebody wants to go up and do it for, if you scroll up in the chat, you can see all the numbers. So you can go ahead and tell me and I'll change it. I'll do it. I'll move this tier list right around. It'll ruin me turning this into a video. Like if I wanted to do like, here's the community's votes, it would completely butcher it because none of the things that I said up to this moment would fit the end thing. All right, 109 votes in, 41% in B tier. We're going to go ahead and end Octus. Octus goes in the B tier. Next up is Julian. All right, S, A, B, C. Let's get the votes in for Julian Davanos. Rank in terms of coolness as we go through the arcs. Oh, 100%. I guess we just have to restart the stream from scratch again. Start the whole thing over, guys. All right, let's get the votes for Julian. Julian. Ash, welcome into the stream. Besides the Aussie, I think Nimble got brought up the most among all the tables. She seems like an asset to have when seeking new information and new character connections in the world. Yeah. I think that she's going to be a good source for some stuff, but they did set it up in a way, again, with the 2 cold opens ago, where they basically established that like they wouldn't have told each other everything, so that she can't have all the information, which was a really good idea on their part, to be fair. To be fair. I didn't see what was said to you when you just said that, and if NERDCORE wanted to collab, I would be down, so let me scroll up. I've been watching since you started with campaign 4. Maybe you and this channel should collab. I would be interested in how. I'm definitely open to it, Dispel. I just don't know how. I don't do like art stuff, so I'm not sure what I could do. But I'm super down. Super, super down. The anime part of my interview. I don't know. Like, yeah, if you have an idea, I'm super down. When Julian took his father's gauntlet, does he have one for each hand now, or were they the same hand? I feel like probably the same hand, but I don't know. Not my favorites being in B tier. It'd be like that. It'd be like that. What is the problem for the vote? Just coolest character, or yeah, just where they stand for you in terms of how much you like them. The Catman. Yeah, it's just how much do you like them? We did at the beginning of the stream, we did a which table was your favorite? Like, which table did you enjoy the most? And then the second one was which story arc from the table did you enjoy the most? Which changed it slightly. I think the Schemers still won, but it was a tighter race. And then we're moving to this. So now let's get the votes in. If you guys haven't voted already, let's go ahead and vote for who wins between Julian. Sorry, which tier Julian goes into, not who wins between Julian. What tier he goes into. Coconut says, loved the way Matt has played him. Flashbacks when he was a kid, when he screamed no after his dad was killed, etc. He knows how to play a moment. It would like for like more from through. Oh, 100%. I agree. And I want to know, of course, what the whole Azune saying, I'll tell your, your version of the story, which came up in the interview as well. I'd love more about that. A tier for me. He's cool. He spit on a dead guy at his funeral. He's starting to grow as a person, but slowly his fighting is awesome. Yep. Julian is the only one pushing the others to keep moving. He's done it a few times. We've gotten some information that's interesting and had some interesting things happen. A for me. No, I agree. With Julian and the Seekers, he was always one after, and it's not like he did it right away, but when they were sitting around talking for too long, he would be the one who's like, let's keep moving. Let's go. Right? Like, and I love that as the viewer, because again, I wasn't loving the Seekers, but also just in general, it was like, yeah, I was into that. I definitely needs a different table setup to shine more. Yo, what's up, Nurik? I put Julian in C because it felt like he took a backseat most of the Seekers table, but he could shoot up the list. Totally fair. You can put him, this is you casting your vote. Julian definitely needs a table switch. I think the Seekers in general need table switches. Can't wait for Octus to escape a table with Taisha, so both of those characters can breathe on their own or pretend to breathe in this case. Shout out to Octus. All right, let's go ahead and lock this in. Julian is going in the A tier. Julian is in the A tier. We move to Taeor Pride Sire. Taeor Pride Sire. S A B C. Let's get the votes in for that. Also showed, yeah, it's true. That's true. He also was like that then too. He wants to keep moving. He likes the forward momentum. And I support that. Steven Seagal. Oh, Debs. I feel like Julian is higher than Murr. Really? You think so? I mean, that's totally fair. Again, I mean, all I can do is take whichever one wins the total, and totally valid. The way that Cozy said I should have done it is how it should have been done, is to kind of average the percentages, but I blew it. So if I do turn this into a video, which I don't know if I will, I might just let this be its own thing. But if I do, I will mention in there, like, yes, this is the way it is. I chose the winner, not the average. Shoot me, you know, because I should have done it that way, but I didn't think of that. So Coconut, was that for me? I don't know the picks lists. Love the lion, but he sucks for me. C, not fan of character or luck. Fair. Saying this, but the only thing I like about Taeor is Travis at this point. I'm hoping I'll grow to love him. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot to him. You know, it's kind of one of those things where, like, right now he just doesn't have a lot to him. I don't think anybody could, like, no matter where you placed him, if you place him even C tier, I think there are totally valid reasons to be like, yeah, there's not a lot there. We went through a whole arc and we didn't really learn anything about him. We found his brother S Stone, so they didn't really get like a scene, but we didn't really learn anything about it. So what's up, Andy? Says Taeor would be lowest in my tier list. I've met many celebrities, Sheryl Crow, Ethan Hawke, etc. Oh, I see that Crow and Hawk, and yeah. I rewrote watching the Soldier Table, and man, what a good table that was. Schemers had to head out of the park to outdo them, and boy, did they, yeah. Taeor is great, and Travis always plays great PCs, and he has played a Paladin before. I was kind of hoping for a fighter. Taeor as a Paladin seems almost self-righteous a bit. It's B for me. Can people who are referencing Matt's role playing explain what they mean? I'm trying to do a Julian, but it's not clicking. I didn't think he was never backseating that I could tell. Yeah, I liked Julian. I mean, he's a contrast to the rest of the group, which I think is fun, but also needed when you have this many players, because if everybody's the same, you know, that can be dull. So I like the idea that he's there's a lot more friction with him. He's a little more aggressive. He's a little more like, let's keep moving. Let's get this going. Like, what are we waiting for? He's not the talker. He's like, stop the talking. Let's act. And that's kind of his approach to it. I voted for Taeor A, but I am biased because cats. Taeor's accent is dope. Super dope. All right. At 107 votes, we're going to lock it in. He's going in the B tier. He's going in the B tier, and we move to Taisha. Taisha, S. A, B, C. There we go. Only 4 more after this. We go Taisha, Thimble, Tyranny, Valus, and Wick. So let's go ahead and get the votes in for Taisha. I'm thinking that, Nurik. That's kind of my hope, is that he will come more to light once his brother is brought out. But yeah, I mean, it was talked about that he came into it without like really any backstory. If Brennan hands him some stuff, I think Travis will run with it. right? Like if he kind of sets it up, I think it will work. But I don't know right now that like he had a great start when it came to that. Yeah, it is looking bad. I mean, I want to say I hope this is all fair. You know, I've tried to defend certain aspects of it, if you know, not all of it, but certain aspects, whatever. But yeah, 92 votes. Keep it going. Keep it going. Will we do this after every arc? It'd be interesting to see how the tiers. 100%. Yeah. After every arc, I will do my own tier list, and I will also do a live stream like this with this. Ginger Bean says, "Oh boy, Taisha, I never could gel with from the overture to now. I know Taisha is going to get a C, but I think is B now. Not my favorite, but I like the way she plays Druid and makes herself feel part of the world. I like Cabria, but not vibing so much with Taisha. B for me, character not clicking, and I want to love the Druid so bad." The Druids in the old past should play such a big part in this campaign, but so far, to be fair, I think, so I said this before, I think one of the reasons people felt like she was hogging spotlight, she was whatever, is because the Druids in the old path are so important, and Brennan was constantly directing things to her. People constantly wanted to talk to her. She was the most important member of that party, outside of Lady Aranessa, and maybe even on par with Lady Aranessa. And so it felt like she was in so much of it, and therefore people were almost holding that against her when it wasn't all her fault. So that's where I'm like, you know, it's tough because I feel like she was put in a spot that like, maybe she has some of those tendencies. I'm not saying she does whatever. They were just made to seem worse than they probably are because she's a character that's super important and everybody wants to talk to her and reference her. So, yeah. Rubber Room says I voted B. Meme Club says I find Taisha so interesting. Her conflict with her table was fun for me. I just don't like how she kind of stopped following her goal. Actually, Eric says I like Taisha character, but I need way more as far as mechanics to find her interesting. The fact that Abria didn't even level hold her back for me. Ever Ice, when you say does not deserve C, are you thinking higher, lower? Like, what is? I'm kind of trying to see where you're coming from with that. C for Taisha have issues figuring out her character still. She switches a lot in terms of her priorities, in my opinion. Valid. What's your deal? 7 says in regards to Teor and Cat rankings. I know it was sort of mentioned a bit ago, but I can't help but think that a lot of people's thoughts on them are due to so many crap rolls, especially with Teor. I agree. Yeah, I think that hurt Teor. Now, I think we've gotten glimpses, at least we've gotten glimpses of Cadigan's past. We've gotten glimpses of him trying to keep it a secret and being distant, and that seems to be part of his character. Teor is not having any of that. Like, we haven't seen him be like, oh, I'm a secret. Oh, this hurts from my past. We just haven't learned anything about him. So I think you're right. The roles didn't help, but I also understand why, like, Cadigan at least has something that is teasing people, and Teor doesn't really. All right, we'll go ahead and lock this in. 115 votes, and that will be the C tier for Taisha. Then we will move to Thimble. I am going to be a hot take here and say I think Thimble might be a little overrated. S, A, B. But I guess which version of Thimble? I enjoy every time Thimble is in a cold open. I like that Thimble. I like the past Thimble more than I like the present Thimble. But here we go. Let's go ahead and get the S tier, because I think Thimble's going to get a lot more high votes simply because it's Laura Bailey. Not because Thimble is like this character that's super awesome and has had amazing lines. Like, really, I'm making my own case right now that's going to end up being in my video, so I probably shouldn't. But like, she hasn't had the best lines. She hasn't had the most revealing moment. She hasn't, but people are like, it's freaking Laura Bailey, and so they do it. So I don't know. I think I like Thimble and I love Laura Bailey. I think this character is overrated right now. That's my take. I think they're overrated right now. But I don't want to impact you guys. Vote the way you want to vote. I'm not even looking at it right now. So Catman says, I think Taisha as a character is a good character, but I think the table and the story she went on hindered her a bit. I can agree with that. Yaw says Taisha was basically the only one who drove the action and plot for the Seekers. Also the only one who had interesting roleplay moments with the other players, except nighttime moments between Bailey and Snow. See, and I agree with that too, but I feel like that almost backfired. As wild as it is, and this is kind of what I was saying, I feel like the fact that she was the one who was actively trying to push the story forward. She was the one who was like important in the world and everybody wanted to talk to and everybody, whatever, which are choices of Brennan, is hurting her like perception, you know, and that sucks. I'm not saying it like, you know, for me, she wouldn't be like my favorite, but I feel like she gets the rough end of the stick on some of that stuff. Harder and Bria. This is the one that will give Julian the verbal fights he wants. The shift over towards Oxley then confused me. Oh, I agree with that. That is what I mentioned. If you remember from my interview with Louise, that is what when I brought up that, like, if somebody would have explained their thought process, that would have gone over better, I think. And I just feel like in that moment, Taisha needed to explain why she suddenly like completely had to switch up in regards to Octus. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna look over. We have Thimble, 111 votes. We're currently within 3%. So keep the votes coming in. I'll leave it up for another minute or two. Only because I'm trying to have her drop down because she's overrated. It's not her fault. She needs to be with a more verbal group. I voted B. She is one of the weaker characters in the campaign. It seems strange how she was on a warpath to find her son and then had no problem heading back to the city. Again, I agree with those things. Though heading back to the city. Unbearable says, agreed. I feel she tried to hang back and kept getting pushed to the front. Yeah. Yeah, to be fair though, John, that goes back to the same thing where like you say, oh, the grass every time gets old, but then the same thing would be the reverberations at the back of the head for Liam's or Hal's things, the teeth thing for Marisha, right? They all have these things that go sort of default to like, again, it's so early that they're still trying to figure out these things. So I think that's fair. That's valid. If you're like, okay, it's okay, the grass is growing, the, you know, whatever, but also like there are other things that are repetitive from other people as well. Yeah. All right. Taisha's only goal being tracking down her son and then deciding to go. But I said the ending of that arc was one of those moments that made me feel like they were told they had to go back to Dalmakiar. Even if we're to believe they weren't, it felt so much like that because that felt like the absolute, like the decision didn't make any sense. When they were like, yeah, let's go back, it was like, what are we talking about? So yeah. I say A for Thimble. No, Thimble is S all the way. I just don't agree with that, Steven. I just don't agree with that. Okay, Everest, I hear you. Hey, I like the character, wanted him more. Hot take, Thimble is the best character. No way. I like Red. Yeah, Shadow Mage. I do. I like the Thimble that we get from the other scenes where she's more fun. She has more personality. The grumpy Thimble doesn't do anything for me. I just don't really enjoy it. Again, I like Thimble. If I was ranked, she's probably B or A for me. I haven't fully decided. You can see in my tier list I'll release later this week. Definitely not going to be S tier for me. I can tell you that. She's not going to be S tier for me. Thimble is just Tinkerbell, and I'm here for it. I think the player's rubbing players the wrong way. Yeah, I agree. Nerdcore. Past Thimble is great, but I don't enjoy her character as I do some others. Yep. I love Thimble, and Laura's dice have. Well, I think part of that is also. Oh, nice. Huff Dud, thank you so much for that. I didn't hear the noise, and I was so confused for a second because your chat was highlighted. I think it's hidden behind what I have here. So maybe hold on. Let me put overlay camera above that. You said, "Can you hear me now?" Was the best line. Oh no, that's valid. The "Can you hear it now?" when she killed him, that was an exceptional line. I will also say where we say like her dice have been kicking butt. She took out a whole room. I'm gonna say it again because she's also mechanically doing things that she's not supposed to be able to do that make her feel more powerful than she is. Has she been rolling well? Yes. Has she had some good lines? Yes. But she's also benefiting from doing more damage with her offhand than she's supposed to and getting advantage when she's not supposed to and some other stuff. So those things, like her combat prowess is less impressive to me when I am looking at it and going, oh, that's not actually how it's supposed to be. Like any of them could be doing better if they were also doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. I don't think it's on purpose. I'm not trying to say nobody's cheating. It's just the way that it is. Nerdcore must be related to Casimir. Only reason for all this thimble hate. That's crazy. That's crazy. I like Thimble. Like, that's the thing is, you guys are hearing this and thinking that I'm saying I don't like her. All I'm saying is I knew that you guys would be saying S tier, and she's just not. She's A at best, potentially even B right now. But I could, some of the lines she has had, I could give her A for. I agree. The "can you hear it now" thing, like all that, A tier, that could bump her up because that was so good. I get that. The cinematic scene of her fighting him up the stairs, also super cool. So maybe A tier, but not S. She is not S right now. There's no way. But we have 130 votes. This is the most votes we've gotten. And she is at, see, and this is, I'm swapping to Cozy's method. Because if we took Cozy's method, she drops to A tier. But no, I'll put her in S. I'll put her in S for you guys. 130 votes. I know I said that. I said I think people are putting her there because it's Laura. Like, I really do. I think it's a Laura thing more than it is that Nerdcore has convinced me. Thimble is D tier. No. Yeah, so as I'm looking through real quickly as I go, there's a lot of her in combat. She took out a whole room. She was so deadly, doing great killing. But she's not supposed to be doing all that. She's doing, across in a 4-round combat, most of it, she's doing 20 extra points of damage in her offhand alone. That she doesn't have. She doesn't have that damage. It's just, it's made up 20 damage. So, yeah. Either way, it's not that big of a deal. In my tier list, she's going to be A or B. I don't know. You guys will have to tune in and find out. But this is your vote. And if you want her to be S tier, that's fine. This is that moment where I really feel like I wish I would have done. I don't get this. What is that? I'm hearing it. I don't see it. Eddie, thank you for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that. Let me move these up. Okay. Oh, wait, let's do that in case we need another spot. Actually, no, let's move back. All right, next is Tyranny. Next up, we get Tyranny. Let's get the vote going for Tyranny. Her revenge killing scene was super good. The "can you hear it now" was very, very good. For me, solid A. Totally very Zenith. A, just need more information. The hag deal seems like it was a freebie so far. Feels a little unfair. The vote's pretty clearly shifted as you explained why you didn't like the character. She still got S tier. It's valid. It's valid. I said I wasn't trying to impact you guys, and I definitely started to make a tangent, and I am pretty convincing, but still got S tier. So that's fair. And there's nothing wrong with becoming more informed and then changing your decision. no, this is Patrick. I think that is totally fine to be informed and then change your opinion. But get your votes in on Tyranny. Also, while you're voting, if you've voted, you should subscribe. Click that sub button. It's free to do that, and you'll get more of this in your feed. But if you want to not have things for free, become a member here on YouTube and support me doing this full time. It's about $5 a month to support me doing this. So 1 cup of coffee a month off of your plate and into my pocket. Thank you. Super chats are cool too. The fact that all of the S tier is from the Skeevers table. Yeah, I did say, Gabby, earlier, I said I think part of that is recency bias. I agree with your take on Thimble. Come on, down to A where she rightfully belongs. No shade. Neric says, same on the perspective on Thimble. Don't hate her or anything, but she was understandably one note in her pursuit of vengeance. Maybe she'll be better in time. B for me. Fair enough. Orc anger issues. I think her having nothing left is the point of her. Loved how much Thimble carried the final fight of the soldiers table. The image of a tiny fairy taking bodies is hilarious and terrifying. I like the visual juxtaposition. I hate when I read that word. Of tiny Thimble getting the kills on the soldiers battles. Yeah. Thimble's awesome, but I agree she's a bit overrated. Her love of Theozian being a fairy is interesting because that side of the world is open to us. But she seems to be the purpose of her PC. All right. It's okay. You could be wrong about Thimble. All right. Ophidian. Okay. I voted S for Thimble because she could have many paths within her. Shadow Sketch, thanks for subscribing. Revenge Arc. Either become lost in the cycle or try to break it. There are a lot of possibilities. I guess comparing her to the rest of her table is why I gave Thimble an S. Totally fair. Keep the votes coming in for Tyranny. I'll leave it up for like another minute or two. Looks like we got a good amount of chunks in now. So go ahead and vote for Tyranny. Touch decision is forced. Why do they... Well, I've been saying Tice's decision to go back was forced. I thought just in general, the whole table deciding they were going to go back. So, yeah. I can tell Valus has so much to give. I feel like there's going to be so much to explore with him. It's okay, Nerdcore. You're allowed to be wrong. Okay, guys. All right. We should rank the S ranks. We can do that too. So, Starry Wizard says, it's so tricky to rank these folks because they're all so awesome. Totally fair. Thimble had the cool moment with Olbit in the toy sword. She killed Casimir, delivered the amazing line. Who was before Thimble? Tayor, I think? Or Taisha? Might have been Taisha. Thimble also practically soloed the dungeon in the castle. Yeah, we've been over the damage stuff. Nerdcore's Atimony Lux confirmed. Even though Taisha seemed to be the focus character of the Seeker's arc. Definitely, yeah, she was. She's great, but not S. Yeah, I don't think so yet. I think there's potential. Like, Laura Bailey can 100% have Thimble S tier for me by the end, but right now she's not. If I knew all this hate, I would have voted S. I would definitely say similarly that Abria is playing a druid doing things a normal druid can't. So I think Thimble's getting homebrew treatment. I mean, again, I don't know. I don't know behind the scenes, but there's no reason to buff a super tiny flying rogue. Like, there's just not. Like, to allow like extra damage from offhand, advantage when it's not supposed to be there yet, like that there's no need for that on a rogue. Especially not a swashbuckler rogue who can sneak attack in one-on-ones. Doesn't have to have an ally nearby. What's up, Jen? Damage she's doing. I don't want to get into all of it, but like you need certain things. Like you need it's either 2-weapon fighting or like the fight. You either need the fighting style or the feat 2-weapon fighting, or it's one or the other. One of them does one thing and one of them does the other thing. One of them allows you to add your attribute damage to your second attack, because normally you can't, right? If you have 2 weapons and you don't have that, your second attack does not add for her, for instance, her dex damage to the attack. Her dex is a +5. So she would just roll the d6 or d8, whatever it is, and that's all she would do. Whatever the dice said, if it's a 1, it's a 1. But she's adding her dex. And so, like, you know, they weren't level 4 yet. She couldn't have possibly have, like, taken that unless... So there's just all these sorts of things with that. But it doesn't matter. We've moved on. We're on Tyranny. We're going to go ahead and call the vote in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And she'll be in the B tier. And we move to Valus. S-A-B-C. Ba 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 ba. Curtis with the comment mechanics could have gone towards BLM, not the most. She just run the game. BLM does. They should both. Look, you guys are maybe misinterpreting this. What I'm saying is I'm not impressed by the when people are like, oh, she was so killer in combat. Because I also see Green, you bring it up too. I'm not dropping her tier off of her doing things incorrectly. Not at all. Not at all. I'm not giving her credit for being really good in combat when not doing it correctly is what is leading to that. Does that make sense? I'm not dropping her like, oh, well, she didn't do it right. I'm taking it away from her. I'm just going like, you guys are like, oh, she was so insane in a combat. And I'm viewing it and going, she was, but the reason she was is it's not as impressive to me. Is kind of how I'm doing that. That's all. Like, I think it's cool. Some of the fight scenes have been epic. Again, I said, thematic before end of reading all this, the thematics of going up the stairs, the line against him, like, those are all really cool scenes that keep her in that A or B tier for me. She's just not S tier for me. Dane on Twitch said Thimble in A tier. I'll agree that she might be a little overrated, but she's clearly an A tier. Great lines, has been present all along her arc, had an interesting chemistry with her compatriots, and I think we have a lot to learn about her and Theology in the Golden Orchard. Mechanically, yes, a few things were handled wrong, but she made some very smart calculating moves and took that game along the death save mechanic. True. All right, I'm going to skip down past that and get to Tyranny because we just did Tyranny and I haven't talked about her at all. Tyranny was good, but did feel like her score is carried by association with Wick, though. That's fair. Tyranny wins out due to her style and style of role play alone. See, I don't love it all the time. Yeah, keep the votes coming in for Valus. Valus, get the votes in, get the votes in. All the others have had over 100 votes. She's at 93 right now, 94. So let's keep the votes coming in for that one. I feel like Thimble's weapons should maybe do D2 plus Dex. D2. He's either low A or high B, honestly. Yeah, she'd probably be B for me. We'll see. Speaking of subscribing, 155 watching, only 52 likes is wild. You guys aren't liking? Give it a thumbs up, guys. Give the video a thumbs up. Alice says, this voting has just made me realize maybe I'm too easy to please. I've low-key loved all of these NPCs, or all these PCs. So for a lot of us, I think, I can't speak for everybody, but Alice, I think a lot of us do like all these PCs, but we're comparing them to each other. So it's not that, like, necessarily, let's say the people in B, I don't think anybody's like, those characters are bad, right? It's just like, I enjoyed, like, I think most people here go, I enjoyed everybody in B tier, but I enjoyed the S tier people more, right? Like that sort of thing. It's a variation between how much you like somebody, not like these people suck and these people are awesome. Is how, of course, I view it and how I think most people are viewing it. Matron of Raisins. Love Tyranny when Whitney is locked into the character and not just basically cosplaying her. That is a great way of putting it, and I think I get that too. Oh my god, I gotta acknowledge. Gabby, are you new here? Because I respond to almost every chat message, or at least read it out loud, so, yeah. But on this one, I haven't been as good at that, I will admit, because I'm trying to keep up. Like right now, you guys are voting on Valus, and I'm just now talking about Tyranny. So, I'm going to skip through this. See, so a lot of people really love Dr. Finger. I loved it as a humor piece, didn't love it in the game, if that makes sense. Into cure sleep paralysis. Tyranny stealing that dagger and the resulting... I loved that part. I love the dagger part, which I think made me enjoy Cadigan a lot more in some ways. All right, let me keep scrolling down. Tyranny was a great comedic character, but I'm looking forward to some emotional moments in terms of her relationship with Wick in the future. Tyranny is a bit all over the place. I think Whitney needs to lock in a bit. Yeah, I agree with that, Big Dog. I think Whitney's still figuring it out. She's new, and I think she's still figuring it out. And I'm giving her plenty of grace with that. I think she's had some really awesome moments, and I've also had moments where I'm like, not really loving that. Yeah. Taisha's before. There you go. Thank you, Flint. Appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna skip ahead. I apologize if I miss anything super important. Feel free to say it again. We need an NPC tier list. I did one in the past, and maybe we'll do another one. The problem is I can't do it like this because I don't have images of everybody and yada yada yada. So it would end up just being me like taking votes off of people in the chat, which is a lot, especially when there's a lot of people. So I'm gonna give one more minute for the Velas as I catch up and read some Vela stuff. I don't think that's it, Steven. Like, I understand, like, the unreleased Swashbuckler, that would have had to be, like, they took a prototype with them from Wizards, and then gave it to them, maybe. But, again, that's completely unnecessary. The Swashbuckler is insane. Giving them the ability to do some of that stuff would just be bonkers. I'm playing a Swashbuckler. We don't need any of that. This one, Ashley's also been quite, yeah, they haven't been great. Velas was super interesting character, too big of a role for Ashley, I'm afraid. I love Ashley, but dang. I think Velas started off as one of the coolest characters up until like episode 3 or 4. Velas started off insanely cool and then dropped down. So like in my tier list, I'm pretty sure I probably had her in like A or something. And then now she might be B or something. Because she definitely did fall off. In my opinion. I think I just love the potential of Velas interactions with the Octus, and I love Ashley. Velas was strong in the Overture, but in the Seekers was B. I haven't remembered much of the Seekers table. Fair enough. Velas still cooking. Velas had the best moment in episode 1, and then cliff dived in terms of intrigue. Yeah, so we a lot of us are feeling similarly that she showed up and it was like, ooh, and then episode 2 it was like, ooh, and then by episode 3 you're like, oh, and then the Seekers arc you're like, ah. Velas really feels like all style and no substance at this point. Apparently that Ashley really finds her groove. She started strong. Unfortunately, that's it. All right, let's go ahead and lock this in. 45% for B tier. Velas is going B tier. And the final one will be none other than Wikander Halavar. S-A-B-C. Let's get some votes in for Wick. Velas needs more confident and assertive. She comes off as soft at times. I love watching Ashley roleplay, but can't stand her in combat. So indecisive and keeps forgetting her in class can do is hard to watch. Velas started so strong from in the Overture, and then the table happened, and she's easily the character I'm least interested in. Yeah. Again, there was so much hype around. What's up, Mikey? There was so much hype around that early on, and it just kind of dropped. Hey, Catman, thank you for the $5 super chat. Wikander for S tier. May the beam reach you all, chat. Like, trying to use religion to entice you all, guys. You see that? Catman is using the light to get you all. On offhand, I don't think so, Dispel. I think it's just a mistake. Again, I don't know. It's all speculation, but playing it correctly. Because no, so no, this is Patrick. Because I don't think that's the case. I don't know. I know nothing more than you guys know, except for I know the way that the rules are and how they're intended, blah, 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 the mechanics. Other things have been explicitly stated as homebrew. Right? Like Cadigan's weapon has been explicitly stated as homebrew. Julian's subclass explicitly stated as homebrew. All we've been told is that she's a swashbuckler rogue. So that's why it's like, and because it doesn't need it. As I've said, there's like that would just be over buffing a character for no reason. So that's why I'm open to being wrong, but that's just where I fall on it. Dealing Fiction says, how I am voting is more in regards to how these PCs are playing with each other at the table, but their interactions with the world and with PCs and their decisions they're making on the fly. John Henry says, Valus started out scary and dangerous, but been so emotional and tender lately. I kind of get it to show some compassion to Octus because of Tyche's interactions. Valus is a C. What's up, Ryan? Gabby says, Valus is cool and all, but compared to Julian, Octus, and Tyche, I feel Valus is very much of a backseat character. So in my opinion, she isn't as memorable to me. Part of the city went for the dark. Ally Shadow, who's going to harm you, to the little goth girl who you noticed was only goth because of her friends. Yeah. All right, we're going to skip down. Down. If you do, oh, okay, sweet. Dispel, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm trying to. When you say, can we start talking about them? We'll discuss. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. We moved kind of past Tyranny. I'm trying to get down here. We just did some about Valus. Would have totally given Cadigan an S rank. Oh, okay, Gabby. Fair enough. Dealing says, Valus is a. There is still so much mystery surrounding her character, but I'm intrigued every time she interacts with someone. She practically killed everyone in that tavern, was so calm after. Yeah, that she was really cool then. Jay Trent, welcome in, says Valus has a lot of great theming, but is definitely waiting to get going. Ophidian says, okay, who votes C for Wick? Did somebody vote C for Wick? 8%? Wick is so cool. I'm sorry. Sam is playing Wick so incredibly well to me. My personal vote, you know, I'm not voting in this. This is you guys, but that's where it's at. With 117 votes right now, it's 43% for S, 37% for A. We'll leave it up for a minute while I read some of these Wick comments. Wick S, the man, the myth, the legend. Man, Sam sure knows how to play a character with flaws. Mixed Game Mike says, let's just admit it. S tier is Sam tier and everyone else is just visiting. Love a little guy who finds out his entire life is based on a lie. Wick is a no-brainer. S rank. I know his incompetency is intentional, but it is. I mean, he picked that he's a naive character. And like, he's just out there trying to figure out the world. Wikander is good, but I feel he misses in spots. So just outside of S tier, really big dog. I think Wick deserves it just from the roleplay element. Who's this Wick guy? That looks like Nick. Yeah, dude, that's Nick Ander. Happy Candle Feast. The incompetence is the best. I love Sam and Wick. Had some great scenes, but he isn't vibing for me. Really? I think he's done a great job. Can't vote for Wick for some reason. Really, it's just not letting you. I'll be honest, Wick slightly dipped for me, but I still think he's an S tier barely for me, especially if Thimble is up there. Yeah, I mean, if Thimble's up there, dude, you know. Low S or high A for me, fair enough. Sam's rolls are blessed by the dice gods. Wick is too powerful for Brennan's tricks. Wick is S, funny, exciting rolls, unique interactions, and weird. Yeah. S tier for me. Love the way Sam's play him. Flint, I don't know if you're yelling at me or the chat. I was trying to, Flintlock. Please stop yelling at me. Wick is a toughie. See, I want to respond to the no, this is Patrick thing, saying that that's probably why there's a 20 for Dex, but I'm not going to do that. When Wick went and I eat a strawberry as he's being attacked is so good. We were told there was, oh, no, not reading it. Sorry. I don't want to get yelled at. Wick on the Schemers table could be comedy. I think Wick will be S tier once he joins the Schemers. With the Soldiers, he was just a high tier. Wick is so annoying in the character development at Slug's pace, partly because he's oblivious to everything around him. Really? The character development, how much character development do you want in a 10-day time period where he just had his whole world flipped upside down? His grandfather's an angel. His family lied about the entire religion he was raised in and is the face of. Like, what? How much of him do you want to be different dealing in fiction? Like, there's a whole campaign to be played for growth and discovering oneself and figuring things out. Like, we just started. I had 7 sessions. Like, I don't, what? Wild speculation. Ashley can't type into the inner darkness she builds Velas Yasha from. Sam's ability to play a flawed character is probably unmatched at the table. I love how he's learning how to be more worldly from being so sheltered. Yeah. Yeah, he's just, I mean, it's somebody, he created a character that was naive. They were naive and their whole world has been shattered. They have to go through that. They have to learn, how do I not be naive? How do I view these things? You know, like that takes time. That takes growth. It's the same reason where like we were in episode like 4. People were like, man, Julian's still being mean. I don't like this guy. And to me, I'm like, I want him to be mean for longer. I want it to take time. I want it to be something that happens as a character arc happens, right? Character growth across something that's going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years. Do I want it to be the last episode? No, absolutely not. But like all of these things should be taking some time, in my opinion. Like it shouldn't already have happened, right? Same reason. All the drawbacks people just said about Velas to me are very similar in the sense that everybody's like, whoa, why is she already just like, oh, I'm not like this creepy, mean, whatever, like cold, distant anymore. I'm immediately friendly and loving. It's like, whoa, there was no arc for that. It just happened. That's why I think, you know, I like that stuff. And I would say, because I also did just say Steven say he's seeing growth from Wick. I would say there has been growth from Wick. I would agree with that. I think that he has started to be like, I want to fight back against my house. He's questioned with the priest being like, what would you do if you discovered your family, right? Like this is happening. It's taking time and it's coming to it and stuff like that. Again, Dealing, I don't want you to think that I'm like, I'm not yelling at you or whatever. I'm explaining. I talk passionately. So please, I hope that's clear that I'm just kind of bringing these things up and sharing my thoughts on them. And you're totally fair to feel the way you feel when it comes to that. As is everybody else in the chat. We can have differing opinions. It's totally fine. As we know, because y'all all think Thimble is S tier. So, all right, let me read a couple more of these and then we'll lock in for Wick. I voted C for Wick. He's awesome, but I'm a hater. Okay. And also we're wondering with Soul Person be giving Cat an S tier solely because Rob, the answer is yes. No, I mean, yeah. I'm not shocked that some find Wick to be annoying. It just means he's playing the character. Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. I also feel like Wick and Teo are having some of the strongest fan shipping going on. BLM is top of S tier though. Sam has the power of Dark Horse wine dice. I'm gonna head out. Need to cook dinner. Go live with my side. And this keeps hey, no worries, fam. Peace out, dude. Give him an A because of that. We wouldn't have combat. Nervous coward thing that he does feels overplayed. Hope the character growth comes quick. S tier too soon. That's fair. It's totally fair. No worries, Dispel. I don't know if you deleted your message dealing in. I see it. I won't read it out because I don't know if you were like, oh, let me get rid of that or not. But I did see it. In my opinion, being annoying is the fastest way for me to dislike a character. Evil is fine, but if I keep wanting to skip his monologue, it's going to hurt my enjoyment of a cool character. Oh, who were you referencing? Fair point on it only being 7 episodes. I retract my comment on character growth not coming fast enough, but maybe he can be slightly less predictable. Fair. I wish more people... Nope says, I wish more people watch Bria's interview on Taisha Explains. Well, it just came out, to be fair. I believe, Temple of Geek... the first long part of it is not related to Critical Role. The very end of it is related to Critical Role. For those of you interested, I think it's Temple of Geek. Why is her name something Tyrell? The interviewer, the host, Caitlin. I think it's Caitlin Tyrell. She interviewed on Temple of Geek, and there's a thing about okay, Meme Club, got it. She did an interview there, and at the end of it, she talks campaign 4, and there is some insight into that. The problem, of course, is that, you know, people are thinking about something that happened 3 months ago in the first acknowledgement of it and why is happening now. So, you know, it's tough to expect people to, like, do that because it wasn't very clear during the game. Sam is doing great as Wick. I just don't like Wick. Totally fair. Totally fair. Everyone is entitled to their own wrong opinion. Oh, man. His double nat 20 disadvantage and saving and surviving is nuts. 100% agree. Yeah, she did a lot of talking about the sci-fi campaign. Yep. It's like when people really got on the actor for Joffrey in Game of Thrones. Feels similar in some instances. If you feel strong reaction, it's being done right. Very true. People don't deprogram from essentially a cult overnight. It takes a lot of time and work. It'll be the same for Wick. Totally fair. Totally fair. Well, now I'm really worried that I ran off dealing in fiction by sharing my thoughts, and I hate that because I wasn't trying to be aggressive or rude or anything like that. Saw Bree's interview. I see where she's coming from, but I still don't enjoy it. That's fair. Again, I mean, it's you know, I listened to it. I think that it should have been mentioned where, you know, any, you know, different places with that. I'm on mobile. Who is that on the top left of S? You're all caught up. I am. Azune is top left. Belair, Brennan, Murray, Thimble. Those are the current S tiers from the community, not from me. That is from the community, and we will go ahead and lock in as we get Wick also joining the S tier. So there we go. This is the community tier list as voted, but not super correctly. Because I ended up, I should have taken the averages of the percentages because some of these S would be an A, but I didn't. So this was the winning votes, right? These are the winning votes, not the average of votes. I want everybody to know that because I should have done it differently. How are we feeling about the tier list, guys? Are most people happy with it? I must away, no worries, Zenith. Now we re-roll the S tier. As in, like, you want to go in order of who we think is... If there was only 4, I could just make it an individual poll. But... Aren't edited video? Yeah, but... Oh, that's... I guess I could. Yeah, I could get those and then, like, do one next to it. Esther is wild for me. I like her, but beside the clutch port and roll, she's cool. That Tyranny would be higher. How were the discussions about it? I love seeing what people think and discovering new insights. Yeah. No, I mean, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Coming late. Someone explain Blair S tier. I mean, it was just a vote. There's a lot of different people that, you know, voted different ways, right? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, this isn't my tier list. This isn't your tier list. This is just a combination of votes. And I just picked whichever one was the highest, which again sucks. I really, truly wish I would have done it differently because less people would be in S tier, which is probably good. This is Argus. This was just a vote where people just voted on who they like the most. This was just based on from this campaign which characters do people like the most. This was the community vote, not mine. I'm going to release a video of me doing my own tier list this week, where I'll be providing my thoughts on stuff. But yeah, so this is where we're at right now. The averages would have helped because I think people would have gotten moved around slightly. I think a lot of the, you know, the Bs would have stayed in B. I think S just would have been thinner. B tier doesn't mean people don't like her, right? S just means that, I mean, B just means that they don't think she's like a top of the line character. So. Can you talk slower in your videos? I'm an elderly millennial. I doing my recaps. I don't know if you've noticed. If you go back and watch a recap from like 4 or 5 weeks ago, and then watch a recap from like recently, I am slower on purpose. There are more breathing moments between lines. In my other content, it's harder because if I'm doing something like just me doing a video of my reaction, I'm speaking fast and passionately. I on some of them I could slow down. I have 100% put that effort into my recaps. My recaps have 100%. I have slowed down on those. Oh, good. I'm just hoping Will could be more proactive as we continue. Learn the truth from his grandma. Tyrion convinced him to leave. Fair enough. Yeah, in these chats, I can't really go slow because if I'm going to keep up with it, I can't. I got to freaking speed read. Okay, got to go. Time for bed. Hey, peace out, Gabby. Thanks for swinging in. There's Gabby. That's also potentially true, Andy. Yeah. Looking for an excuse to do it. No, I agree. There are some things like that. You talk slower than me, I feel like. Really? Very, very few people would ever knock me into the slower talker category. During the live streams, I talk very fast, yeah, because I'm trying to read every message and and respond and yada yada yada. And the videos, the recaps, I've intentionally tried to slow down, so hopefully people are getting that. And then for other videos, not really. Like I'm sure my reaction video for the video, that one I was fast in. But yeah, the break. So that's other people pointed out that I had slowed down my speech, but I hadn't. I was doing this on purpose. I was trimming the dead air between sentences. Like if I go to my notes page, I would cut the air between if I section stuff like this person is this, and this, and then there's a section. I would cut the dead air between them so it would just flow straight into the thing. It was almost like one, not a full run-on sentence, but very little break between. So I've started to leave more of those up to allow for some more of those breaks. But when I'm listening to it, when I hit those breaks, I'm just like, what is this? Like, I don't know. Love the Louise video. Keep it up. Thank you. I'm glad people really enjoyed that. Here, just a real quick fun poll. I don't remember what all the gens are, but let's do generation. What are they? Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z. What is above that? Can I just say Boomer? I don't know all the things. Here's a poll, guys. If you feel like doing the poll, we can see where everybody falls. Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, and Boomer. 5 voted tiers. We can vote on which of the tiers here is most accurate with these current tier lists. Sure. Well, after this quick poll, we'll do one where we basically just say, like, which row do you agree with the most, I guess, will kind of be it. Great stream. Very soon to see how the community feels. Definitely some surprised me. Fair enough. See ya. No, this is Patrick. Thanks for hanging out. We already determined the chat is all. We did. Boomer's and Gen Alpha. I don't know. I don't know all the things. Should I have done Alpha instead of Boomer? All right. Well, we got 57 votes. I don't know what they are. What's Gen Alpha? Gen Alpha. Between 2010 and freaking like 2010 and 2024. No, do we got freaking children in here? Like, those are kids. It looks like mostly millennial. Yeah, we're looking at with 63 votes. We're at 46% millennial. which is me. Rock on. All right, we'll go ahead and end that poll. So we can see 47% millennial, 27% Gen X, 23% Gen Z, 3% boomer. And then we'll say, which tier do you agree with most?
What?
CB Brown, thanks for the subscription. Bye for this. Hey, peace out, Gabby. If there are alphas in here, they should be in bed. True. Isn't alpha in grade school? Maybe. Some of them are younger. Like, it says still 2024 is included in that. So, like, there could be, like, 2-year-olds out here with that. Stream for the kid. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, he would be. Because it's 2010 to 2024, Matron. He would be Gen Alpha. Yeah, millennials, let's go. 91, baby, 91. You have to troll this one. Did you put C, David? A or C? I personally would move some in other tiers. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm still, like, on my tier list, I'm really going to have to think about it. I don't know if Hal would be A tier for me yet. I think he might. He might. But I really need to think on it, because he started really low. And so he's been grinding his way up. A down, B up. I'm going to have to figure out how I could possibly edit this to, like, be a video. Or maybe I won't. I'll just leave it as a live and people can tune in and watch if they want to. Putting the stuff at the start slowed it down. If I cut straight to community tier list voting, I think it would probably do better versus the rest. 84 baby here, turned 42 on the 20th. Hey, my birthday's in June, so in a month. A month from today, June 11th is my birthday. I was in 91. Hey, let's go, Kelly. I have to go. It's 3 a.m. Hope you have an awesome stream. Good night, NERDCORE chat. Peace out, Rubber Room Rat. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for participating. Oh, don't worry, Quirky Geek. We went over it before. This stream, the 25% was on the lower end. Most of the time, we have way more. We went over it the other day. There were a lot of people in there, like 40s, 50s, and 60s in here. Does it change your ranking on any character? I think it changed a lot of people's rankings, Coconut. I think one of the reasons the schemers are as high as they are is that episode, to be fair. I do think the schemers are really good. I think they've been really enjoyable. I do think there is some recency bias because the last episode 25 is probably like the best episode of the campaign. So it's definitely, for most people, if it's not the best, it's probably top 2. So I do think that probably plays a role in that for sure. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I could in my video say, if you want to see community votes, there's a live stream we did. They start at X minute if you want to go watch that. Yeah, that's valid. I could just bring them up in that, but I also could send people here if they wanted to watch it. I don't know that it's confirmed, Dealing in Fiction. 86 here, but New Year's Eve birthday, so on the Monday off from 87. Hey, there you go. Cat needs more screen time. Robbie is amazing. I agree. I think that Cat is going to become way higher. I just think it's a slow start. Pretty solid for a community vote. Yeah, I mean, yeah, not terrible. Not terrible. I don't see for me, I think, like, people have all these things against Taisha. I don't blame Taisha for some of that stuff. And therefore, for me, Taisha's not going to be on her own. If she's going to be in C tier, there's a couple other people in here that deserve to be C tier. Straight up. But that's just my vote. And another thing to point out, Glory, since you might have just got here, I did take whichever vote won, which has been pointed out was the flawed system. Because, for instance, there were times where, like, S tier was 40% and A tier was 38%. And if you averaged it, because the other two were making up the remaining percentage, it would have been A tier. But we put them in S because S won by 2%. So it's not the best. Some of these S would have been an A. So I wish I would have done that, but I can't do anything about it now. Because I think S tier has too many in it. Taisha there. Yeah, again, people are going to feel differently about it, but I personally don't think Taisha should be liked less than like Velas, for instance. Velas started really cool, and almost everybody admitted she fell off a cliff. And yet everybody's like, oh, Taisha's worse. And I think some stuff just got pushed onto her. So got a birthday last week. 88. Hey, let's go. Well, happy birthday last week, Allie. Verbal table. Yeah, I think so bad about Thimble. No, it's not that. I think in general, I'm not sure Murray would have landed there. I think Murray jumped up partially because of the last episode pretty significantly. Like I think a lot of people voted her to S because of episode 25. I still think she's A pushing S. For me personally, she would probably still be pushing S. But I don't know if I'd have her in S. But the last episode made everybody go S, 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 S. So maybe she would have been one lower. I think she was also one that was really close on the percentages, so she might have dropped when it came to that. I also really like the mechanics and the role play from Azune, so that might keep him an S regardless. But I could see arguments for A. So, yay, Taurus. Hey, let's go. Well, happy early birthday for you. Yeah. I'm slightly nervous. So because we did this stream, I'm slightly nervous for whether or not Thursday will be a good stream. But we'll see. I do think C is where Taisha belongs right now, but Velas belongs there as well because both had the biggest drop off post Arbiter. See, and I'm fine with takes like that, but to me, it's like being like, oh, Taisha's just so far below everybody else. She's in a like that's just a really rough take for me. But we all have our own thoughts and opinions. But like, if my tier list, she's in C, and she might be. She's not going to be alone. Like I think she is on par with a couple other people that I'm not like the happiest with. Even so far as like, I mean, the Seekers in general, except for Julian, I might put there. Because I don't like Octus is fine to me, but I don't love Octus, just like I don't love Taisha and I don't love Velas. So maybe all three of them end up in C tier to me. I just don't think she deserves to be alone in that tier. I feel like Tasha yells at threatens Inu has the audacity to disagree with the questioner. Yeah, she's a little heavy-handed. Yeah. Dane says, my adjustments. Murray and Wick and Cadigan go to A for various reasons. Technically, I'd put Brennan in A tier as well, but that's literally due to deming preferences. I don't think he's bad at all. Yeah, fair. Totally fair. Did it say that? No, my show. Like, my plan was to still do a live show. It would just be like an off-week catch-up. I've done those a couple times. You know, instead of doing a pre-show because there's no show, just doing like off-week catch-up where we just talk about everything and do all that. My fear is that like this replaced that in a way. But we'll see. If it wasn't a Seeker, then Octus would have been the only one contributing. The arc would have been even more boring. Maybe. Well, no. See, because I would disagree because Brennan would have had to make an adjustment. He put a lot on her. Brendan put a lot on Taisha. They ran into the Grove of Druids, and they ran into these other people who wanted to talk to the Druid, and then these people wanted to talk to the Druid, and you know, so if that was adjusted, the arc is different. So if she's not there, that stuff doesn't happen. All of a sudden, the arc is different. So that's kind of how I view that. It's hard to know, right? Ripple effects. You change one thing, other stuff has to get adjusted. First, the chat tomorrow to talk about. There could be that. And I, you know, we'll still talk about stuff. It'll be more this again. We were doing a lot of just talking about characters and whatever. That one will be more geared towards really breaking down what stuff can mean and talking about last episode and talking about the upcoming episodes and all that'll be in that one. So we'll still go for it. Is there a show this week? When's the next day? I think the tailgate's going to be next Tuesday. Tomorrow night we have the fireside chat. We get Liam and Sam for a fireside chat tomorrow. and then we get the tailgate is probably next Tuesday. There's no show this week. The only show this week is for me. Dolgo says, for future videos, you could also consider doing more qualitative tier descriptions, like intriguing, but we're waiting to see more. So I did that for my tier list, and I still might, to be fair. Let me see if I can pull it up. I did something very similar to that, actually, when I did my tier list post-Overture. See if I can find it. Oh, you know what? Let's just search NERDCORE tier list. Nice. Okay. Here, we'll move towards the end. Let me blow this up so you can see it. So my tier list, this is post-Overture, so this was still pretty early, but I had the already iconic, because it's post-Overture, so like, are they already iconic? And we had Julian, Wick, and Bolaire. Compelling, like I'm interested, but we'll see. Were these, and then there was still finding their place. For me, it was Azune and Taisha, and then not clicking yet was Liam. So I did exactly what you're talking about. It was a little more, it was different. It wasn't just like boom, boom, boom. I did these. And at the time, like for instance, Valus was compelling to me. No longer really compelling. I think is now finding their place. Thimble would probably stay in the same spot for me. Cadigan as well. Tyranny, I don't know if would stay. Taylor would drop. Taylor would 100% drop. Hallandil would come up somewhere. Julian would probably drop because his Overture was iconic. The scream when his father died, the Octus encounter, that role play was excellent. His personality was different. Now, like if I was doing SABC, he'd probably be A now instead of S. So this is my old tier list. This was the one I did a video on. If you guys want to go watch my thoughts and all that, the video is still up. It's from 6 months ago. Crazy to think the Overture ended over 6 months ago. But that's what this was. So I had different options. Is this basically what you were talking about, Dolgo? Something more like this? How many pirates does this chat have? At least 3. But because I made you guys do it in an SABC way, I feel like I'll be cheating doing it this way. I'll have to come up with different ways. I don't know if I'll do already iconic, compelling, still finding their place or not clicking. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe it'll be like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to come up with what tiers I want for mine. But that, yeah, this was my old video. This was post Overture. So we did one post Overture. The next one will be post first arc. Is how we'll do it. To be fair, he kind of gave her some moments. The night song, getting ready to get to talk to Biscard, she passed it off. I talked about this before. She had those moments and she passed them off, and then some of them went to Taisha, and then people blamed Taisha. So, agree. I think the push he gave to Taisha because Brennan knows Bria will catch should have gone to Velas because we want more. Yes, but again, there was a moment or two where she brought Taisha in, and then people are like, "Oh, Taisha's here," and it's like, "Well, dude, she didn't do it herself," you know. So. Samuel, I think you typed that earlier. I mean, in my original tier list, I don't think any of those 3 people cried. Maybe Matt did. I don't think Matt did. I mean, girl is so serious and dangerous. I agree, but her character was super cool. Weird place. Well, at least she's the only PC who's in favor of the gods. Yeah, which is why I think that's so interesting. I like that aspect. I like that she's like the one person who wants that. I think it can allow for some really interesting friction and conversations. But she has to flesh that out enough for that to happen, right? Like there needs to be a little more to it. Say something which I think hindered. But the thing is, Valus brought her into that Speak with Dead scene. Ender, that's where I don't know that it should be super blamed on Taisha or Abria because Valus is the one who brought her. Now I can't remember if like Taisha had something's like, you know, I would ask this or do it. I don't remember exactly what led to it. But yeah. Who do you think could die first now that everyone will be coming together? Wick makes the most risky decisions. So there's that. I think Azune plays really smart, but is also willing to sacrifice himself. But Wick makes the decision. Wick does, like, Sam does not care if Wick dies. And that's very clear with a lot of decisions he makes. Valus just actively gives away the most moments meant for other. Yeah, exactly. Do you have any thoughts on potential table mix-up? Yeah, sorry, I was responding to YouTube comments. In terms of mix-ups, I think people that I think will pair together, for instance, I think depending on if we learn something new, you know, Julian and Thimble would make sense to go to the Golden Orchard. I could potentially see Tayor going, but I don't think Tayor is super close to anybody. I think Valus will try to stick with Octus wherever they end up going. I think most of the schemers will probably stay unless something crazy happens. The only one I could see really leaving is maybe Hal. Because this play will have been over and yada yada yada. Yeah, but that's if any of them change. I mean, they just released those t-shirts, so. I know that like we're gonna get moments where they reconnect and we get scenes between people, right? Like Thimble and Octus have wanted to talk for a while. They're going to get to talk. Whether or not they end up in the same group after that, who knows? But when they're back in town, a lot of these people are going to get to interact. So you know that's not something we really have to worry about. Any potential ships? I'm not really a ships and romance guy. I don't care if they happen; like it doesn't bother me. But I think Murray could definitely end up with somebody. There's been some closeness with Azune, but I don't think it's that. I think it's too early. Like I haven't seen anything that leads me to believe like people are like super into each other. Murray and Cadigan is another one that like they had a little flirt moment, but like I don't know. I don't see who else could do it right now with like, you know, I just haven't seen interactions that make me think like these people are going to get together. Julian and Azune. I don't know. Brennan did tell them all to have at least 2 backup characters locked and loaded, especially moment with the schemers lady Maria and the Seekers with Octus mutated cousin. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be risk for it. I have never bought the Wiccan Tyranny thing. Now that could develop, 100% that could develop, but it's not there for me right now at all. It's not there for me right now at all. Wick is still very clearly into his previous lover, and I think the Tyranny and Cadigan right now is more of a father-daughter thing than it is anything more than that. Tyranny might like something a little bit different, but I think right now Cadigan views her more as a child. So that's where I'm at with that. Howdle soldiers as a rebel. Julian is schemers given a desire for revenge. Taylor to seekers, maybe. Okay. I don't know. I don't know that Julian can just hang out in Dalmakiar. So that's the other ones I could see. Julian to schemers, I have a harder time with. Mara the Wing, win. Well, yeah, I want more about Mara the Wing. Heck yeah. I second Dimidus and Shadia. They haven't even met, have they, that we know of? Wick is into terror, to be fair. You think so? Who thinks Sam's backup might be Wick's ex? That'd be kind of crazy. They're battle buddies, Tessa. They're just battle buddies. I'm saving the image of the tier list. Question: if you could change one PC's class to something else, who would it be and what would you pick? Well, I would make Matt not play a homebrew class we know nothing about. So there's that. I don't know. I don't know if I would change anybody's class to something else. I mean, again, I would change the subclass for that. Maybe I'd have Valus as a cleric instead of a paladin. I don't know. Also, any theories about who the Mistress of Night? No, I have no idea. I don't think it's somebody we've met already. That's my take. I've said that before. We talked about it a bit in another live stream. I don't think we've met that person. Is to learn how Terra's powers are connected to Fairy. Tyranny's romantic art could be I'm a demon. Demons don't get love stories. Yeah. Yeah, the Morns. Well, again, we don't know if those two are related, but everyone is dealing with family drama, and some might lose their jobs. Like Murray, they don't have time for romance, especially Hal being a dad, taking up the cause again, running a business. And Sam mentioned on the charity stream that he ships Wick and Tayor. Oh yeah, I didn't know that. I agree with that, Ender, and we very well might. I don't know if he'll stick with the soldiers. Which only was an echo. That's what everybody thought he was going to be with the whole shadow thing, and then it didn't happen. Terror as a fighter rather than a paladin. I want to see him tear someone apart with those claws and leash. That would be cool too. Yeah, I would support that. I would support that. Romance between Octus and Julian, maybe. I don't think Octus is Julian's type. Are there any clerics in this setting? Have you ran into any? I noticed a lot of paladins. How I was dealt with this. So clerics. There are no clerics in the 13 players or the whatever. But I think wasn't Dr. Talter technically a cleric of some kind? The Luxes might be clerics. Name of the organization that are surviving clerics, those trying to get divine magic back without actual gods. Is that the ones that Dr. Talter is a part of? Is that who you're talking about, Party Steve? Mitchell, I would 100% rather 2 tables. Yeah, of the totality, yeah. Yeah, I'm 100% more of the 1 or 2 tables is the camp I sit in more so than the rest. Luxes or Warlocks, I thought that was confirmed. Just because of the contracts they signed, I thought that was more of a they were getting tricked into like selling their souls. So maybe it is that like they think they're clerics, but technically their powers are coming from that. Could be something like that, yeah. Could definitely be something like that. Also, for those of you who aren't aware of it, I do have a Discord where we have all the channels and stuff that are dedicated to Critical Role and stuff like that. If you guys haven't, it's linked in the description of this video, my Discord. There's a Critical Role live chat and all that we talk during the actual episodes. I also do a pre-show every Thursday, 7:45 p.m. Eastern. So just for any of you who are new or haven't stopped by, those are all things we do. I also interviewed Louise, if you haven't seen that. Table changes. I'm looking forward to an episode of the majority of the players present, followed by some new pairings. I don't think any of the tables will go unchanged. We might not even see the same names heralding their groups. I agree about 1 or 2 tables. It's quite feasible we might get 6 or 7 people in the groups. I just think if they just released all that merch that say like the individual tables names and all that sort of stuff, and then if they immediately after releasing it were like, oh, by the way, those tables don't exist anymore, the names don't exist anymore, whatever, like that'd be a little odd. I don't think it would like ruin anything, which is why it's not like a hard and fast rule, but yeah. I'd like 2 tables. 3's just too long. Yeah, I'm down for the 2 tables. I don't know that we'll get it. I think they're going to stick with it, but there are a lot of different factions. I like Brennan. I do like the world is created, but we got a lot of players on the table, pun intended, on top of the actual players at the table. Yeah. Question: how can there be paladins if all the gods are dead? Aren't paladins given their powers from their patron god? See, those are the kinds of things that can easily be homebrewed, or there can be some explanation in the world that we just don't know yet. I just don't think we've been told, right? I think there's, yeah, like David said, it'll be part of the lore. At some point, we'll kind of discover where this is coming from, if it's residual, right? Like Bayless, this might be residual. She did worship this god and she has that power. Teors could stem from something else. Yeah. We just don't know. I forgot about that, Mira. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that at all. I got to figure that out, how I'm going to do that. I just realized Sam, a previous member of the Chaos Crew, is also the creator of the Condescent Creed. Coincidence? The CCs? All right, folks. I think I'm going to call it there. I'm losing steam. It's 10:30 here. I think I'm gonna pop off. In terms of I'll respond to Dane here. Read his message merch. I think it's a valid point, but I think the players like spending time with various other players, and more would jump towards making changes and staying in their current assignments. Flexibility is such a cornerstone of D&D. Well, I think the other reason they're still doing the 3 tables and all that sort of stuff is more scheduling than anything else. But I'm gonna get out of here. Mitchell, sorry for not answering that question. If I do that, then somebody else has a question, and then somebody else asks a question, and we'll just kind of keep going. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your night. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Consider becoming a member if you'd like to support. Appreciate it, guys. This was fun. The tier list was a good time. My video for my personal list will be coming out this week. So if you want to get all my thoughts on all that, have me explain it, they'll be there. Appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one.